Order. We have item 1.1, which is 2020, our VCCD ground rules, and 2022 board vision for us trustees to be able to just follow as we have our meeting and we have our discussions. 1.2, Chancellor's recommendation of the agenda. Thank you. 1.3, changes to the agenda, any consent items to be pulled. Trustees, you'll notice there are some changes listed. We have item 6.7, attachment added, which is an IT report. Item 10.2, which is attachment renamed from 13.2 to 10.2, MC permanent increase clinical psychologist. Item 12.2, attachment corrected to indicate 1 day of paid leave of absence. Item 12.4, attachment added, Resolution 2026-06, recognizing the month of April as Community College Month. Item 15.1, attachment added, Chancellor's report. And now we move to item 1.4, which is public comments for closed session agenda items.
Chair, are you calling for any items that?
Yes. Yes, thank you, Trustee Mantooth. 10.3. Trustees, any items to be pulled from the agenda? Trustee Lichtel?
All of the items under 9.0, the CCAP agreements. And on behalf of Trustee Pachowski, I would like to, he asked that I pull, he's running late, by the way. Got stuck in traffic. I believe it is 8.1. I think there was a particular PO that he had questions about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have items to be pulled.
8.1 is payroll.
Oh, you're correct. 8.2. We're not going to question. I don't think he's going to question payroll. 8.2. Thank you. Dr. Mitchell.
Chancellor McLennan.
8.2.
I do not. I was kind of looking through them to see if I can figure that out, but I'm sure Trustee Pachowski will maybe share that information.
If I get some stuff, did we have a question on 8.2 prior to the meeting? So it's probably related to that. I think. Okay.
Yes, we did. We had 2 questions.
Okay. Trustees, any further consent items to be pulled?
8.3? No. What's the 311? 8.5.
8.5. Okay. So we have item 10.3 being pulled from Trustee Mantooth. We have all the items listed under 9.0 from Trustee Lichtel. We have item 8.2 pulled from Trustee Pachowski and items 8.5 pulled from Trustee Chancellor. Anything further? Okay, if there's no items to be pulled, we will now move on to public comments 1.4. And our first public comment comes from Marcia Cook Fulkerson, followed by Maria Urenda.
My name is Marcia Cook Fulkerson, faculty member at Oxnard College. I want to let the board know that I am embarrassed to work for a district who won't pay their faculty. I'm embarrassed. 2% plus 1% for a salary increase is embarrassing. Shame on the district for proposing this as a starting point in negotiations. I'm a tenured faculty member. I've given 10 years of my life to Oxnard College. Please urge the district to do the right thing and negotiate a good deal.
Thank you. Maria Urenda, followed by Shannon Newby.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Chancellor McLennan. Maria Urenda, SEIU Chief Steward, speaking on behalf of the classified unit regarding closed session item 2.2, conference with labor negotiator, SEIU. I would like to take a moment to say it's a very good day, proud day to be a member of SEIU Local 99. I don't know if you've been watching the news, but when we fight, we win. Such a powerful union with such collective strength. So I'm very proud to be here saying that I'm part of SEIU Local 99. With that, this evening, I'm accompanied this evening by SEIU leadership. And we're here to publicly address the board regarding the status of negotiations. Unfortunately, we have not yet reached a tentative agreement on full contract, which did expire on June 30th, 2025. We have been in negotiations with management's team for over a year. While we acknowledge that there has been movement and steady progress on many articles, as we have shared previously at the prior board meetings, the district's current compensation offer is not where it needs to be to settle this contract. On February 3rd, we submitted a counter proposal that is not only reasonable and fiscally responsible, but also operationally sustainable. Classified professionals are the backbone of this district, showing up every day on the front lines to ensure our students have what they need to succeed. We are the ones, we are the ones guiding students through registration, financial aid, and counseling support, maintaining clean and safe campuses where learning can happen, keeping critical IT systems running, and helping ensure safety through our police department. This work is not optional, it is essential. And without classified professionals, the promise of student success simply cannot be fulfilled. Our members have shown patience, professionalism, and good faith throughout this lengthy process. However, after more than a year of negotiations, that patience is wearing thin. We are not asking for anything unreasonable. We are asking for fair compensation that reflects the essential work we perform every day for this student and for this district, and its students. We respectfully urge the board to take decisive action and provide your team with the full authority needed to reach a fair and equitable agreement. Our members deserve a contract that recognizes their value, sustains their livelihoods, and allows them to continue serving our students with the dedication and excellence that they bring every single day. We thank you for your time and for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, SEIU. Shannon, followed by Joe Setzler.
Hello, my name is Shannon Newby. I am an instructor in biology at Oxnard College. I have been there since 2005, so I am in my second half of my 20th year. Very excited. And I wanted to address the board regarding contract negotiations and specifically the one-to-one lab pay. I think there's a misconception in what lab instructors do. I think the thought is that we sit there and students do the work and we sort of act as a manager or supervisor, and there's not necessarily as much teaching involved. I would like to say that's not the case. As a biology lab instructor, I have taught in locations for almost 20 years at the Marine Center, which is greatly missed, but that's another story, where I was my own lab tech. So I had to prep everything, which took an hour. I had to take everything down at night, which took over an hour. And that's work. Now that I'm on campus, I do have a lab tech, which is wonderful. And I love my classified employees. They are incredibly valuable assets to us at college. But she can get the things I need, but we have to get it set out. I have to make sure that everything is working. I have to make sure that the students are following safety. We go around, today we dissected fish, so I had to make sure no one was cutting themselves instead of the fish. We have to make sure that material is disposed of properly so that we don't cross waste streams and do things. And all of the labs are handwritten. It's not Scantrons. And so I checked my clock today. I did over 3,000 steps just walking around in lab, keeping an eye on the students and what is going on. And so we are working, we teach, we do an intro at the front. We have to make sure the students are safe and that all our equipment and material is there, and then great. And with us, our district not having one-to-one lab pay, we lose faculty all the time. We are constantly in need of hiring part adjunct faculty to staff our labs because they go to other districts where they can get more for the same amount. And they leave us. And that means we are short on faculty who are able to teach the next generation of nurses and dental hygienists the skills they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Joe, followed by Angela Wilkins.
Hello, my name is Joe Sulfler. I'm a chemistry faculty member at Ventura College. I've been there since 2004. I'm here regarding salary negotiations. I'm not on the union team. I presented you some data, might be slightly different than what the union presents. It's based on the study by Santa Rosa's union of all the community colleges in the state. And as you can see, we mostly rank every year in around number 67 out of 72 districts. Meanwhile, we live in the 8th most expensive county in the state. As the kids say, the math ain't mathin'. So, meanwhile, I would point out to you, LA is roughly around number 18. College of the Canyons is roughly around number 15. Santa Barbara City College is around number 48, again, depending on the year you refer to. This is directly led to faculty leaving. In my division, 4 faculty have left in the last few years out of about 19 or 20 science faculty at Ventura College. They didn't retire, they quit. They quit and moved to a higher paying district. Let me tell you a little bit about some of the folks who lost. These come from comments from Rate My Professor, which is actually sadly accurate in most cases. So let me tell you about one of the people who left. I'm not going to mention names because they didn't ask their permission. That's why I'm not mentioning a specific name. One of the folks you lost who went to a higher paying district, comments are, amazing professor. I had him for a 4-week summer session. I enjoyed every moment of the class. He's gone. He is the best professor I ever had. His teaching style aligns with the age of our group of students. He's clear, concise, fair, and expects accountability. He's gone to a higher paying district. The same professor. He's the best professor I had at Ventura College. He knows the subject well and is always available to help. His references to learning and funny jokes made class enjoyable. He's gone to a higher paying district. The next professor who left us comments, he was a really good teacher with great skills. He seemed to put difficult subjects in his own words and made it very easy to understand. He was a very amazing teacher, gone to a neighboring higher paid district. The third faculty member I would mention who left us comments, she is sweet, understanding, always sent out reminders to ensure we got everything in. She's a very nice teacher and I had fun in her class and I recommend taking her if you get a chance. She moved out of state to a higher paying district. So my ask is simple. Ask the chancellor to come up with a budget where we will be closer in alignment with our neighboring districts for salaries. We have never been this far behind in my 22 years here. Yes, we've been behind, but not 14th compared to 67. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Angela Wilkins, followed by Jeanette Lopez.
My name is Angela Wilkins. I am part of AFT negotiating team, also an adjunct instructor at Moorpark College for about 33 years, teaching mathematics. I am here tonight to read a statement prepared by our chief negotiator, Nathan Cole, who could not be here tonight as he is in rehearsals with the students for an upcoming theater production at Ventura College. And keep in mind, if Nathan were here, it'd be a lot more fun. He's got a lot more dramatic pauses and stuff, but I'm a math teacher, so bear with me. this is Nathan's statement now. As you know, negotiations between the district and AFT 1828 for the 2025-2028 collective bargaining agreement began in late February. So far, the parties have had one organizational meeting and 3 bargaining sessions totaling about 12 hours. At the onset, both sides agreed to prioritize the new dual enrollment article and Article 3, which is salary. To date, AFT has presented proposals on dual enrollment, class size, faculty evaluation processes, including updated evaluation forms, and countered district's initial proposal for negotiation procedures. The district has presented proposals on negotiation procedures, salary and health benefits, along with counters to AFT's evaluation proposals. While no full articles or appendices have yet reached tentative agreement, both sides are making progress on portions of several items and continue working toward resolution. At the same time, AFT had hoped to see a stronger initial salary proposal than the 3% over 2 years with a reopener. Given the high cost of living in our region, ongoing inflation, we believe there's an opportunity to better reflect the value of faculty. AFT is carefully reviewing data on the cost of living, inflation, comparable compensation, and we will be presenting a thoughtful counter proposal soon. We look forward to continued dialogue with the district as we work toward a mutually beneficial agreement. Finally, given the late start to negotiations and the current pace of progress, we welcome the opportunity to explore options to the reopeners that make the most effective use of time and resources moving forward. We remain committed to working collaboratively with the district to reach an agreement that supports our faculty, strengthens our institution, and ultimately best serves students. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Jeanette Lopez.
Yesterday, I met with Dr. Herrera in regards to my scholarships, the remaining of $2,000. I received this last year of May of 2025 at the high school in the auditorium. This scholarship, I'm still missing, is $2,000. I was supposed to be awarded 75 and was only awarded 55. I'm just asking for the board to consider and just give me my remaining of my scholarship. With all due respect, Dr. Alema, I'm the one that earned this scholarship. I'm the one that worked hard for it. And closer. Got it. Thank you. And I'm entitled to it just like every other student on campus. I'm sorry that you don't know the background of what happened, especially with Lois Sonnery. And I explained this yesterday to you, how she passed a student that was under the influence of drugs or alcohol, how she was in rehab. And I asked Professor not to put me in the group with her, and she denied it. So again, I also confirmed with you, Dr. Herrera, that my tax return statements came in the balance that's on for my scholarship is for 7,500, not 5,500. And again, with all due respect, I know that you just came on board due to the president not being present, but before the president left at Oxnard College, he was aware of what was going on. So I'm just asking for the remainder of my scholarship that's owed to me, just like any other student here. And I thank you for your time, thoughts, and consideration. Thank you.
Jeanette. And this concludes our public comment session. So with this, trustees, we will be going to closed session and we anticipate to be back by 6:30. from open session. And we do have 3.1 pledge to the flag, and I'm going to ask Trustee Lichto to please lead us.
Right hand over your heart, ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
3.2, we have our closed session report. We do have a report out, and that's on item 2.3. And on this item, the board voted to terminate an academic administrator for costs. The motion was made by Trustee Lichto and seconded by Trustee Mantooth. The vote was 5 in favor and 0 against. 3.3, we move to public comments, and there are no public comments for this evening. But I know that we do have a special guest that was mentioned to me earlier. We do have our former trustee student, Trustee Whalen, who's here with us. Former Trustee Whalen, it's nice to see you. With this, we move to 4.1, which is the acknowledgement of new employees. We welcome and congratulate all of the employees who have joined our Ventura County Community College District family, and I know that they will be recognized within each one of the respective reports from our Academic Senate and also our Classified Senate. We also have recognition of the Ventura County Community College District retirees, which we wish them all the best and thank them for their many years of service that they have provided to our district and taking care of our students, both instructionally, but most importantly, their heart. And being there in support during all these years. So thank you very much for your service. And I know that you will also be acknowledged and recognized throughout the reports this evening. And we move on to consultation, and we'll start with our Classified Senate from Ventura College.
Okay, good evening, Chancellor McLennan, members of the Board of Trustees, student trustee, and guests. My name is Tatiana Lawler, and I serve as a Classified Senate Vice President at Ventura College. This evening, we offering a brief reflection during agenda item 18 adjournment. As we honor Gloria, Jerry, Ranford, and Carol, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our colleague Carol Smith, whose presence meant so much to our community. On behalf of the Ventura College Classified Senate, we honor Carol's life and the many ways she contributed to Ventura College. Carol joined VC in 2013 and served over a decade as a biology lab technician too, and a part-time faculty member as well. She brought not only a deep knowledge to her work, but also a steady kindness and care that people felt right away. She was a trusted colleague, a mentor to students, and someone others could rely on. Carol had a special way of working with student employees, teaching them, encouraging them, and helping them grow with patience and genuine care. She was also engaged across campus, supporting events like Earth Day and contributing to student-centered efforts. Even as she approached retirement this past October, Carol remained committed to her students, colleagues, and showing up with the same warmth and dedication she was known for. Her passing is quite a loss to our campus community. She leaves behind a legacy of kindness, mentorship, and quiet, meaningful service. So our thoughts are with her family and friends and all of us who had the privilege to work with Carol. Thank you.
Thank you. Oxnard College.
Good evening, Chancellor, Board of Trustees, and guests. I'm Berenice Rodriguez, Oxnard College Classified Senate President. General consultation under item 4.6.7, the Classified Senate would like a moment to recognize and celebrate our colleagues. We would like to welcome Marcos Salgado as custodial supervisor at Oxnard College. We also congratulate Clara Viveros on her well-deserved promotion to senior accounting technician, and we're very happy to welcome back Cici Chavez as executive assistant to the president. We're grateful for the continued contributions of classified professionals across our campus, and we look forward to the impact each of these individuals will make in their roles. Under item 6.10, Classified Senate would like to express our appreciation to the Oxnard College Foundation for their ongoing support. Their commitment not only uplifts our students, but also extends to supporting staff across campus. This year, Classified Senate had the opportunity to partner with the foundation to provide additional support to our students, and we look forward to continuing that partnership as we begin planning for our upcoming classified retreat. At 12.4, the resolution recognizing April as Ventura Community College Month. We're in full support of the resolution recognizing the month of April as Ventura County Community College Month. We appreciate the recognition of the vital role community colleges play in advancing student success, economic mobility, and workforce development across our region. This resolution highlights not only the achievement of our institutions, but also the collective efforts that make these achievements possible. Classified professionals are proud to be part of that dedicated workforce that supports students every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Report College.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Kristen Robinson. I serve as Classified Senate President for Moore Park College. For 4.1, acknowledgement of new employees, we welcome the newest member to our facilities maintenance and operations, Josiah Grant, grounds maintenance worker. Looking forward to supporting my new colleague. For 6.9 AP 6560 climate action and environmental sustainability, which has been provided as information. I'm glad to see the district's renewed interest in understanding and mitigating its environmental impacts. The AP, as is currently written, outlines specific strategies it expects each location to address, all of which will require widespread, significant environmental education campaigns to achieve. As the district identifies ways to implement these strategies, I hope it will be open to practices occurring at other 2- and 4-year institutions, such as ensuring vendors on campus use recyclable or compostable or reusable packaging utensils, provide financial incentives like reduced or free parking passes for those who carpool, and working with the VCTC to implement more direct routes to make public transportation more enticing for students and employees. For 6.10 foundation reports, thank you to the Moore Park College Foundation Director Debbie Klein and her team for the work they have done in generating financial and in-kind support for our campus's students and programs. I've outlined on the foundation's thorough report. My program that I oversee, the MESA program, has personally benefited from that already, and we just launched in earnest in January. So thank you to their efforts. And then for 14.1 action to improve Moore Park College curriculum, we just want to acknowledge the incredible work that went into developing or revising these courses, and in developing, advocating for, and ultimately bringing to fruition the Bachelor of Science degree in Applied Cyber Defense Network Operations. Special acknowledgement to faculty members Ed Garcia and Kevin Rickard and other faculty who made this possible. Thank you.
Thank you. District Administrative Center.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Chancellor McLennan, Student Trustee Ayash, members of the public. My name is Diana Martin, and I serve as the Classified Senate President for the District Administrative Center. In consultation of item 4.1, on behalf of the DAC Classified Senate, I'd like to congratulate all employees hired or promoted this past month and offer a special welcome to our new colleagues at the DAC. Starting with Jenna Becker, Senior Human Resources Analyst, Daniel Casey, Payroll Supervisor, Larry Mayer, Associate Vice Chancellor of Fiscal Services, Camille Despain and Angelica Reza, who are joining us in provisional roles. I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge Cece Chavez, who many of us at the DAC have had the pleasure of working alongside in human resources. She's moving on to serve as Executive Assistant to the President at Oxnard College. And while we will miss her at the DAC, we know she's going to be wonderful in this role. We look forward to collaborating with her in a different. Item 4.2, I'd like to extend sincere congratulations to all retirees this month and thank them for their dedicated service to our students and community. I'd especially like to acknowledge Janice Endo, Benefits Technician at the DAC, who will be retiring in July after more than 10 years of service. Janice has been a steady resource for so many of us at the DAC, and we wish her a wonderful retirement. In consultation of items 14.1 through 4.3, the DAC Classified Senate supports approval of the curriculum submissions from Moore Park, Oxnard, and Ventura colleges. Thank you to the faculty and staff at all 3 colleges for this work. And in consultation of item 12.4, the DAC Classified Senate is proud to support resolution recognizing April as the community college month. Community colleges are where access becomes reality. for first-generation students, working families, anyone who needs a path forward. Right here in Ventura County, our 3 colleges open those doors every day. That work belongs to everyone, faculty who teach with purpose, administrators who lead with vision, classified professionals who keep students supported, and community partners who believe in what we're building. We're proud to be part of that team. Thank you.
Thank you. Academic Senate, starting with Ventura College.
Good evening. Good evening, Chancellor McLennan, trustees and student trustee Ayash. I'm Jennifer Garner, Academic Senate President at Ventura College. In consultation on agenda item 4.2, on behalf of the Academic Senate, I'd like to begin by expressing deep gratitude for the more than 32 years of dedicated service that Catherine Mundy brought to Ventura College students and faculty through the Educational Assistance Center. As an instructor, I witnessed firsthand the professionalism and efficiency Kathy consistently demonstrated in supporting students with disabilities and in helping faculty navigate the accommodations process. Kathy, we wish you all the best in your next adventures. Item 8.3, the Academic Senate wishes to thank our generous donors for their gifts benefiting Ventura College programs in art, athletics, chemistry, math, music, nursing, basic needs, and more. Your support and the ongoing work of the Ventura College Foundation makes a real difference in the lives of our students. Item 10.1, the Academic Senate extends a warm welcome to Dr. Rome Romanelli as our new Vice President of Academic Affairs. We look forward to the experience, fresh perspectives, and ideas they will bring to Ventura College, and we are excited to work together in service of our students and faculty. Item 10.3, on the consideration to expedite tenure prior to completion of the 4-year probationary period, I encourage the board to recognize the process outlined in the AFT VCCCD collective bargaining agreement as sufficient and complete for awarding tenure to faculty recommended by the Tenure Review Committee. We ask the board to interpret this CBA language as establishing 4 years as a maximum time frame for meeting tenure standards, not as a mandatory duration, and to approve tenure accordingly. Items 14.1, 14.2, and 14.3. The Ventura College Academic Senate encourages the board to approve all curriculum items that have successfully completed the prescribed local approval process. And item 18, as the meeting will be adjourned in honor of VCCCD employees we have lost, I want to take a moment to pay special tribute to my colleague and friend, Carol Smith. I worked alongside Carol for 12 years in the biology department. In her roles as part-time faculty member and instructional laboratory technician, she was a true partner in teaching. We shared ideas, brainstormed ways to improve hands-on learning, and I benefited enormously from her patience, her deep understanding of how institutions work, and her evidence-based scientific approach to everything she did. Carol's connection to Ventura College was woven into her family's story. Her mother, Clyde W., taught in our nursing department, and Carol herself took classes here not long after high school. When she returned in 2013 as an instructional laboratory technician for biology, she brought with her a wealth of experience, and she put it to work immediately, refining lab operations, supporting new instructors, and developing lab kits that kept students on track toward their educational goals, even during the pandemic. She showed up continuously and generously whenever she was needed. Carol retired this past October after 12 years of service, and sadly, we lost her to cancer in February. She was the kind of colleague who made every day a little brighter for students, for faculty, for all of us who had the privilege of working beside her. Carol will be deeply missed, and her legacy lives on in every student she helped, every colleague she supported, and every lab she made better. Thank you.
Thank you. Oxnard College.
Chancellor McLennan and student trustee Ayash. My name is Dolores Ortiz. I'm the Academic Senate President at Oxnard College. Just have a few comments for consultation. 4.1, welcome to all of the new classified professionals. Welcome to the district. And then 14.1 through 14.3, all three colleges' curriculum. I support these faculty-led efforts. And for 14.2, I just wanted to give a little note on deactivations because we have more deactivations than activations in our curriculum. Just wanted to note that if there's an ADT, so associate degree for transfer in a discipline, then the AA or the associates or potentially the AS can be deactivated. And that's why you see so many deactivations. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Moore Park College.
Good evening, trustees, chancellor, and colleagues. I'm Nicole Block, president of Academic Senate at Moore Park College. For item 6.1, I'd like to give a special thanks to Deborah Klein for all your work raising funds to benefit students. On 14.1, 14.2, and 14.3, a big thanks to all the discipline experts and all the curriculum experts who ensured that all the proposed curriculum followed all the proper processes and complies with all the content requirements from all the three colleges. And I'd like to recognize the extra nights and weekends that professors Kevin Rickard and Ed Garcia spent researching, writing, advocating, and collaborating on the Bachelor's of Science in Applied Cyber Defense Network Operations and the important curriculum in order to get this program approved as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Associated Student Government, Ventura, Moore Park, Oxnard. Oh, there's somebody online. Okay. Is Ventura College? Do we have Ventura College online? Okay, we'll start with Oxnard College for now. Then,
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Trustee Yash, Chancellor McKinnon, and guests. This is my consultation. It's very short. OCHG supports 14.1, 14.2, and 14.3. Thank you.
Thank you. Moore Park College.
Hello, everyone. All right, so for item 10.2, please approve. For item 12.1, I did a little bit of research. And I just briefly wanted to point out that Robert Rodriguez, Suzanne Lee Chan, Barbara Dunsheath, Deanna, Olivia Lambert, Jonathan Abood, Judy Chen Haggerty are currently acting in this position, worth noting. And I would really like to see more women representing our district and state local governments, et cetera. So Rachel Rosenthal and Crystal Jackson are two new faces, and they are both women. With that said, Ms. Rosenthal owns her own business. She is a woman, and she can help close that gap a bit with mindset, student to trustee. And then moving forward with this, still, Ms. Jackson has extensive studies in sexuality, addiction, and conflict resolution, all of which would be helpful in making decisions and empathizing with our students. Item 12.3, maybe just a little bit more context on why we would maybe support that. But it is interesting. And then items 14.1 to 3, please approve. There was a lot of cybersecurity coursework, and that's super exciting for Moore Park College. And then item 16.1, you didn't put a report in, Amir, but I'm really happy that you came to our meeting yesterday. That was really nice to see you. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we know if Ventura College is on by any chance? No? Okay. So with this, we move on to reports. And we will start with, we have one here for Moore Park College. We don't have one for Oxnard, but it's okay because you can share out with us.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Student Trustee Yash, Chancellor McKinnon, and guests. This is my report for the month of April and the work Oxford Colleges Association Government will be doing. I would also like to congratulate our elected OCHG board for the 26-27 school year. President-elect Natalia Jimenez, Director of Academic Affairs-elect Levi Duarte, Director of Budget and Finance-elect Diego Navarro. And that was all I elected. In March, we had the Student Senate for California Community Colleges approve our equitable testing practices for English as a second language students in California Community Colleges resolution. SSCCC will use the approved resolutions as their guide in their advocacy efforts for the next academic year. I will now continue the resolution. Whereas the California Community Colleges system serves a significant population of English as a second language students, including adult education and English language learners, who represent approximately 13% enrolled students statewide and are disproportionately impacted by the linguistic barriers in academic testing environments. Whereas ESL students may require additional time to process exam questions written in English due to the additional cognitive load of reading, interpreting, and composing responses in a non-native language, even when students have demonstrated mastery of course content, thereby creating an inequitable testing environment. Whereas ESL is explicitly recognized under California education policy as distinct from remedial education and disability status, and requiring ESL students to seek accommodations through disability support programs and services creates an unnecessary barriers and confusion, as being an ESL is not a deficit. And whereas equitable testing such as instructor approved extended time when, sorry, I can't say this word right now, pedagogically appropriate, supports student success, retention, and fair evaluation of learning outcomes without compromising academic integrity. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the SSCCC recommend and support local faculty, academic senates, and colleges to adopt flexible testing practices that allow ESL students to receive extended exam time when needed, without requiring documentation or referral through disability support programs and services solely on the basis of being an ESL student. Resolved that Student Senate of California Community Colleges encourages colleges to develop clear, transparent guidance for faculty outlining best practices for supporting ESL students during testing, including voluntary extended time options, alternative testing formats, or instructor discretion based on the demonstrated language needs. Resolved that the SSCCC recognize that linguistic diversity is not a disability and urge colleges to ensure that support for ESL students is implemented through instructional equity and cultural responsive teaching practices and academic support structures, and resolve that the SSCCC work collaboratively with the Chancellor's Office, Academic Senate for California Community Colleges, ESL faculty, and student representatives to promote equitable testing policies that reduce barriers for ESL students while maintaining academic standards. Thank you.
Thank you. Moore College.
Everyone. So very briefly, we have no one appointed to president for next year, but there is a lot of interest in that position, so we will be conducting interviews. So that's very good. And then a couple of our directors from the ASBOT, and then one of our delegates did attend the SSCCC General Assembly, and all of them, we only wrote 3 resolutions, but they all got passed. And then just to echo, I'm pretty sure I was probably in the restroom, but you had said that it's going to be a statewide thing, not like a district thing for those. So just to echo that, thank you.
Thank you, Moore College. With this, we move on to 6.2 AFT report. Any no reports? I don't see Maria, so there might be no reports for SEIU. So we move on to 6.4, which is classified Senate President's reports, and we will start with Ventura College. And it's only if you need to share anything, Tatiana. So the reports, the trustees have received the reports and they have read them. This is just if you wanted to highlight anything, but you don't have to report anything. Okay. I don't have anything more to share. Okay, thank you. Oxnard College.
So I'd like to thank you for taking the time to read my report and the statement that was included. The statement was discussed and approved by a majority of classified professionals, and I would like to highlight a few points of the statement. So I'd like to start by expressing our appreciation to the district for stepping in during this time of change. We're very grateful for the leadership of Dr. Cynthia Herrera, Dr. Josefa Baca, and Dr. Valerie Mitchell, whose presence has helped restore a sense of direction. Tonight, I come before you to share the voices of Oxnard College classified professionals, those that reflect both deep care for our institution and growing concern about the current state. Since the communication sent last month regarding leadership, classified employees request clarity regarding the status of the president and vice president of business and administrative services. We also seek a clear understanding of the current budget standing, including the referenced deficit. There are concerns regarding decision-making processes that have affected campus operations and community engagement. A major source of concern is the continued loss of experienced leadership across Oxnard College. Over the past year, we have seen the departure of respected and long-serving leaders, including Dr. Paloma Vargas, Dr. Oscar Cobian, Dr. Luis Gonzalez, Ms. Carla Bank, Ms. Tina Knight, and many others who have each played a meaningful role in strengthening our institution. This level of turnover is unprecedented and has contributed to a sense of instability and concern about the college's long-term direction. Additionally, many classified professionals have expressed concern about psychological safety. There's a hesitation to speak openly due to fear of retaliation, which impacts meaningful participation in shared governance. We want to acknowledge concerns expressed by many classified professionals regarding the last presidential search. While we do respect the role of the district and the board in these decisions, there is a strong sentiment that the outcome did not fully reflect the input and priorities voiced by the Oxnard College community. We ask that the voices of our campus continue to be actively included in these decisions, that our insights, experiences, and perspectives are not only heard, but genuinely considered. Our college needs leadership that prioritizes collaboration, respects shared governance, and leads with integrity, care, and accountability. Oxnard College has long been known as a college with a heart, and while this past year has brought challenges, that heart remains strong in the people who continue to show up every day. We respectfully ask for partnership in ensuring stability, transparency, and leadership. In closing, I would like to again thank the leaders who have stepped in during this time. Again, Dr. Herrera, Dr. Baca, and Dr. Mitchell, including Interim Vice President Florentino Manzano and our deans, specifically Dr. Amy Edwards and Dr. Leah Alarcon, who have continued to lead with grace during this time. We'd like to thank Chancellor McLennan and everyone at the district office who are working behind the scenes to help during this time. The efforts to support the college during this transition are appreciated. So we stand ready to work together and rebuild stability and continue to serve our students and community with the heart that defines Oxnard College. Thank you.
Thank you. Moore Park College.
Thank you for reading the written report. Something did come up after I shared it that I do just want to share with you all. I wanted to let you know that our Classified Senate Vice President Crystal Salas has been recognized by the California Community College's Classified Senate, the statewide 4CS organization, for the 2026 Outstanding Classified Professional Award. Crystal was nominated for exceptional support of the involvement of classified professionals in participatory governance at the local, district, and state levels. In addition, she advocates the values and contributions of classified professionals in the campus community and promotes the ideals of participatory governance for all. She gets to be honored at the 4CS annual conference in June. And since she was recognized on a state level, I figured it's fitting that she be recognized at district level. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. District Administrative Center.
I'll keep my report brief as I was not able to submit a written report this month. I'm pleased to share that the DAC Classified Senate recently wrapped up 2 fundraisers, our C's Candy Sale and our Mystery Easter Duck Egg fundraiser. And both were a success. A sincere thank you to our fundraising officer, John Gallagher, for leading both efforts, and also to our sister senates at Moore Park, Oxnard, and Ventura for amplifying our communications with their classified communities. That kind of district-wide solidarity means a great deal to us. I also want to share that the DAX Classified Senate Classified Professional Development Retreat has been scheduled for Friday, September 4th, 2026. One of our goals is to rotate the venue across our campuses each year so that the DAC classified staff have the opportunity to visit and connect with the colleges we serve. We are in the process of securing a campus location now and look forward to sharing more details soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Academic Senate President's Reports. Ventura Trustee Lichto.
In a statement this evening, you mentioned that while we respect the role of the district and the board in these decisions related to the search of the president past, there's a strong, consistent sentiment that the outcome did not fully reflect the input and priorities voiced by the Oxnard College community. And while I'm not asking for a response this evening, and maybe not even from you, perhaps from the chancellor's office, I certainly would like to hear that perspective, because that's important to me, especially as we move forward into potentially a new search, either as we're doing in Ventura, potentially at Oxnard or any other college. So I'd like to learn more about our process. So I guess I would put that to our district staff, that this information be some information be gleaned as to why that sentiment exists. Is that clear or not?
It's clear, Chancellor McLennan. For you, Chancellor McLennan.
We have campus leadership saying that the hiring process didn't reflect their priorities and input. And so I think it's important for us to review that, investigate that, and report back to the board, at least to one board member.
I agree, and I share the sentiment of Trustee Lichto. So thank you for the reports, and then we'll get more information regarding our process that we can share with our entire community. So Academic Senates, Ventura College.
Thank you to the trustees for reading the written report. Just to highlight, there are 4 items on there. 2 of them were passed by our curriculum committee, 2 by the Academic Senate. And so I will leave it at that.
Thank you. Oxnard College.
I'll just highlight a couple things. My first item on there is just a thank you to all of the vice chancellors and associate vice chancellors who are helping out on our campus. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge and congratulate one of our newly tenured, newishly tenured faculty, who is now Dr. Samantha Marshall, professor of psychology. She recently earned her doctorate of arts in ecological psychology. And her dissertation was entitled, or is entitled, In Closing Life, the Ecological and Psychological Harms of Carceral Logics. The project was inspired by working with students within our Rising Scholars program. And you can read a little more about all of the amazing contributions, some of them, that she brings to our campus. So we're really thankful for her. Happy to call her a colleague. I just want to highlight that our Omega program went and did some amazing things over spring break, including attending Men of Color Action Network conference at Mount SAC. The chaperones were classified professionals Sergio Arana and Betty Ortiz, and also Professor of Auto Body Technology, Juan Jimenez. And we went to plenary along with our colleagues from the other campuses. I also want to highlight that next week is our Diversity and Culture Week. There will be great events happening the 20th through the 24th. So I'll send that out to you to see if you want to stop in for any workshops or speakers. One of our speakers is coming all the way from Atlanta. So it'll be a one-man show, very interactive. And in reference to Classified Senate's board report, I'd like to lend support to uplift their voices. And I'd also like to share with you, and you all were copied on this open letter to our president from the Academic Senate, which included a statement of faculty concerns. I just wanted to share that it was unanimously passed, that letter, by the Academic Senate. And then last thing, yesterday on 4/13, the OC Academic Senate passed a best practices for supporting English as a second language students. And it was born from the resolution drafted by the Oxnard College Associated Student Government. So shout out to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Moorpark College.
Good evening. As my colleagues mentioned, we, the Academic Senates attended the ASCCC plenary in Santa Rosa. And on Saturday, there was a vote. There were about 116 colleges represented. And I'd like to give congratulations to Dr. Eric Reese of Moorpark College, who has been reelected to the executive board of the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges as treasurer. So that's exciting. I'd also like to congratulate our counselor at our campus, Truly Thompson, who wrote 2 different resolutions that were approved, one of them being in support of progress renewal. And those were passed at Academic Senate at the plenary. I'd like to also highlight one of the resolutions. I'm just going to read the 2 resolves. This is called Supporting System-Wide Academic Integrity and Infrastructure for Distance Education in the Age of Agentic Artificial Intelligence. Resolved that the ASCCC urged the California Community Colleges Chancellor's Office and the Cal State Legislature to provide dedicated ongoing funding for the establishment and operation of universal testing centers at all California community colleges designed to support equitable access to proctored assessments for distance education students, including non-local and rural students, while preserving the flexibility and student-centered benefits of asynchronous instruction. And resolved that the ASCCC work with the California Community Colleges Chancellor's Office, the California Virtual Campus, and other system partners to develop resources and guidance and explore possible changes to system-wide policies by spring 27 that address academic integrity in distance education in the age of agentic artificial intelligence, including standards for responding to AI misuse, such as strategies to prevent fraudulent enrollment and recommendations for assessment design in order to protect the value, credibility, and transferability of California community college courses, programs, and degrees. So that was one of the many resolutions that were passed at plenary on Saturday. I'd also like to congratulate Professor Jamie Maxey for her election as Academic Senate Vice President at Moorpark College. She'll be finishing out the remaining 14 months of the 2-year term. Welcome, Jamie. We had an amazing multicultural day at Moorpark College on Tuesday, April 7th. Thanks to everyone who worked on that, including Kelsey Stewart and Katina Walia. And there's a long list of folks who contributed to that good work on the report. I'd also like to take a moment to read about 3 of our community members who have passed recently. Ranford Hopkins is retired professor of history and founding member of Moorpark College's annual Multicultural Day, passed away on Saturday, April 4th, with his beloved Cynthia at his side. Ranford was a dedicated and admired faculty member at Moorpark College for nearly 3 decades. He is most recognized for founding the college's Multicultural Day in 1991 and for his inspired teaching. Throughout his time at Moorpark, Professor Hopkins was known to his peers as a beloved colleague whose knowledge, energy, friendliness, and diplomacy epitomized the very best in college teaching. Our deepest sympathies and our prayers are with the Hopkins family. Jerry Mansfield, retired English professor and esteemed colleague to many, passed away on Wednesday, March 25th, with his family at his side. Jerry proudly called himself a hillbilly, and his easygoing manner and gentle Tennessee drawl often masked a razor-sharp wit and an even sharper mind. Whether he was spinning a tale on the page or contributing to a meeting, most notably during his many years as a stalwart of the curriculum committee, he delighted those paying close attention with clever, layered double entendres, puns, and quietly brilliant jokes. Our deepest sympathies and our prayers are with the Mansfield family. And Gloria Miranda, retired MCEOPS counselor, passed away on Thursday, March 12th, with her family beside her. Gloria came to Moorpark College EOPS in the spring of 1990. She was a wife and mother of 2 and understood the obstacles and stresses of the re-entry single-parent student because she was once one herself as an undergraduate. As a care counselor, she had the opportunity to work closely with single parents on AFDC. She could honestly say that for her, there was nothing more rewarding than watching the academic growth and development of self-esteem in students who were once uncertain and apprehensive of their abilities. Our deepest sympathies and our prayers are with the Miranda family.
Thank you, Moorpark College. Ventura College President.
Good evening, Chancellor McLennan, trustees, student trustee Ayash, and guests. I have two additional updates in addition to the board report that was submitted. First, echoing my colleagues' shared sentiments of Carol Smith, I'd like to just take a moment to reflect on the life and legacy of Carol, and the deep and profound impact she's made on Ventura College. You know, in talking with colleagues across the college, Carol contributed to VC in a lot of unseen and seen ways. Those who had the privilege of working alongside Carol will remember her for the way that she made people feel supported, respected, and uplifted. So she will just be greatly missed. Just want to take a moment to honor her. Thank you. Last announcement, this just came in today. Ventura County Community College District and Ventura College have been honored and recognized by Mayor of City of Ventura, Dr. Jeanette Sanchez Palacios, for their commitment and generosity of providing the right event center to serve the city of Ventura temporarily while their city council was being revitalized. So much thanks and appreciation to VP James Zavis for going out to receive the proclamation. And much thanks and appreciation to all of you, to the Ventura County Community College District and folks at Ventura College for the receipt of this proclamation. Thank you so much for all of your support. Great partnership between us and the city of Ventura. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Moore College, John.
Right. I'm not Dr. Sokanu, so John Forbes, Vice President Academic Affairs, sitting in for our seat president. A couple updates. Forgive me, just thinking about the reflections already on those three amazing individuals that have passed away recently for our college. Did have the pleasure of meeting Brantford personally, and just seeing what the legacy was of the Multicultural Day is just amazing. But if you think of like that drop of water or the pebble that hits the pond and it just ripples out, we would not be Moore Park College without these people. Far more than salaries and benefits and all the other things. So just thank you for adjourning the meeting in memory of them. It's very meaningful to us. So I just want to amplify the words that were said by Nicole a few moments ago. Other things happening at Moore Park College, I want to mention that the arts are alive and well, and that this week, for the first time, Moore Park and Ventura College are doing a choral concert together. So that's Thursday, 1 p.m., 7 p.m., two performances there. And then the very next night is off Coachella. I just want to mention that because I think it will be better than whatever is happening in the desert. It is our More Harmony and other a cappella groups across Southern California are being presented on our campus. And then we round out with wind and jazz ensembles on Saturday, Harmonious Journeys. So I just want to encourage you, the arts are fine well. And we have something to show Justin Bieber, whatever he thinks he's doing over there. Then finally, there are some other accolades in addition to amplifying the award for Crystal Solace from the statewide classified senate, but our own Oleg Bespalov received an award from the RP group for being a leadership star, and it was nominated by a number of faculty and the great work that he does working with us as our Dean of Institutional Effectiveness. So I just want to draw your attention to that. There are celebrations to be had moving forward on the great work that they're doing. And so good things happening at Moore Park College.
Thank you. Oxnard College, Dr. Herrera.
Hey, I'll be wearing a couple hats. So first of all, I'd like to start by saying good evening, Chancellor McLennan, Chair Torres, and trustees, along with student trustee Ayash. I want to thank the faculty, classified senates, all the managers and supervisors, and especially the executive leadership team for the tremendous support over these last couple of weeks, working together to really keep the engine running. It's been like running a marathon at a sprint pace, but we're all doing it together. So that's great. I'd like to start by acknowledging the fact that in front of you is a booklet that goes out to every high school graduate that reflects Oxnard College and the opportunities for them. And so that goes to all high school graduates in our service area. We had a public safety Wildland Fire Academy's Battalion 8 graduation on March 27th. It was absolutely wonderful. We celebrated 22 cadets graduating. Great experience. We have recently entered into a K-8 for exploration fair partnership with Kamala Elementary School. We'll have 2 annual fairs engaging about 800 students each year. We also are pleased to share that 19% of the transferring Mesa OC STEM student workers at Oxnard College have received the most prestigious UC Merit-Based Award. The UC Regents Scholarship was offered to the top 10% of applicants and based on academic excellence, leadership, and service. 4 of our students were given this commendation, and there's a lot of people that helped behind the scenes and that helped connect the students, and so we want to make sure that we thank them also. We have April 26th, the OC Family Fun Festival from 12:30 to 4. We hope that you can join us. We will be having a lot of fun activities. We're looking for volunteers if anyone wants to volunteer. And that's it.
Thank you. Yes, John.
Neglected one thing, so I won't be, anyway, take minus points on filling in for Dr. Sobanu. But next week, we do have a number of events related to the Black Student Success. All are welcome to the Black Student Knowledge Bowl, April 23rd, and then More Than a Cut. So it's going to be food, but also last year I got a haircut and I looked the best I ever had, or at least a month. And so all are welcome to our events next week for Black Student Success.
Chair Torres.
Thank you for sharing. Trustee Pachowski.
Can just make one comment on Vice President Forbes' report. If you hadn't mentioned Justin Bieber, I would have.
Oh.
Okay, so with this, we move to 6.7, which is district office reports. I'll start with institutional effectiveness. Is there anything to report in addition to the report that was submitted? Anything you want to highlight?
Our workforce assessment of the Santa Clara River Valley. It's going extremely well. We have a meeting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with the Santa Paula Chamber. And so we're going to be doing a presentation and doing a listening session with them. Otherwise, everything's in the report.
Thank you. Business services. Okay. Human resources. IT. Okay. With this, we move to 6.8, which is board committee reports. We start with 6.8.1, Administrative Services Committee, and this is Trustee Chancellor and Trustee Lichtel. No, oh, it's that's right. It's Trustee Pachowski and Trustee Mantooth.
Thank you, Chair Torres. As part of our tag team arrangement, Trustee Pachowski and I trade off co-chairing the meeting, and this last time on March 24th, I was it. You do have the draft minutes as part of the packet, as well as most all of the items that we addressed are reflected in tonight's agenda, including our foundation reports, approval of our military equipment policy, the administrative regulation procedure on sustainability, which we thought was very pertinent and very all-encompassing. And we also had a discussion on food service on our district campuses, which also was very informative. Trustee Pachowski, anything you want to add?
No, I actually asked for the discussion on the food service simply because I think it's high time that we offer food service to our students, faculty, and staff on all of our campuses. And so we did have an excellent conversation on that, and I'm looking forward to getting some results moving forward.
Okay, thank you for your report. And so 6.8.2, which is the PAS committee, and this is Trustee Lichtel and Trustee Chancellor.
Just right there, you adjourned at 8:23, so I think it's all you.
Okay, but before we do that, I want to actually go back to trustee Mantooth and trustee Pychowski. So trustee Pychowski, when you say you look forward to some progress, what does that mean? So are you saying you'd like there to be an agenda item at our next meeting where we can look at potential next steps?
Well, I don't think necessarily the campuses are at that point yet based on the discussion. But I am looking forward to a discussion some point in the future where we can just have that conversation at the board level.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just sometimes things are discussed and there seems to be an interest but without sort of a timeline or outcomes or commitment to what that looks like, because I've been echoing that concern and, interest in food services for 7 years. So I know Oxnard College has a culinary program that provides that, but we have other campuses that have vending machines or food trucks, and there is a sustainability.
And honestly, I find that unacceptable.
I agree. So I'm just wondering, eventually, I think this needs to return as an agenda
Absolutely.
item to where we
And
can
I
look at
agree
some
as well.
timelines and outcomes and possibilities at least. Okay, great. Moving along, we had a pretty light, actually a very light agenda for for pass. And there was an item that I brought forward, which I'll address in a letter of support later. And I believe, try and pull up, have the other one open. I believe the only other item that we discussed. Yes, 4025. And that was supported by both trustee Lichtel and myself. And we also had a brief conversation about accreditation cycles, and we did also discuss post-board meeting evaluations. We used to do that, and I think that it served a purpose, but it started to get little wishy-washy, so to speak. So I think that it may be time to revisit that and maybe internally develop something that we can quickly, efficiently, but also effectively evaluate our meetings and the work that we do each and every meeting. So that was my take on the agenda.
The only thing I would add is under 3.1, we did talk about resolutions. We had a resolution that came forward. We talked about the fact that there's nothing in policy about how we bring resolutions forward. And we thought that should be best addressed in 2007. So at some point, maybe that'll end up on that agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So 6.8.3, this is the board policy monthly meeting. So in this past month, we weren't able to hold a meeting, and so we were discussing the possibility, if there's one of the board members who isn't able to attend, maybe we can have an alternate, so it can be another board member who's available should that happen, because sometimes unexpected things happen also within our own committee. And so it is an ad hoc committee, but we're thinking of maybe bringing someone in. And so in the future, if for some reason, in this case, it's trustee Lichtel or myself isn't able to make it, we'll just try to find someone. I'll try to, as a chair, one of you to. Thank you. So with this, we have also the 6.8.4 Boardroom Artwork Committee update. And I believe this is trustee Chancer, along with our student trustee Pychowski.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, so first of all, I think first thing I'd like to say is
interpret it your own way.
Modern art.
Yes, is to thank the participants. This has been an interest of mine for a while, and we started with a blank slate, as you can see, and the district updated us where they are now and where they're going, so to speak. And we kind of branched out into two topics or two areas. What are we calling that? The foyer?
What we call it, the
outside the boardroom, potential artwork and things like this. But in particular, we focused on the boardroom. And one of the things that we talked about was, our work here is centered around students. So we felt that it would be appropriate that we see students either in their artwork photographs. And there's, I mean, the list of potential ideas, whether it's rotating by semester, whether one semester it's all Ventura College, or one semester it happens to be fine art or paintings, the next is photography. So we gave a lot of ideas, and we're hopeful that the district will bring back in the very near future sort of a draft plan of what that will look like. And hopefully before too long, these walls will be full of I won't say color because it could be a black and white photo exhibition, but students and the wonderful work that they do, because there's so much talent in this district. Anything to add?
Yeah, there were a lot of great ideas suggested at this meeting. One of the things that I know I mentioned was I suggested possibly even having some sort of one thing we could do, we could have a contest where the winners got displayed or something. There were a lot of different options. The staff recommendation was to have it last for an extended period of time, like 5 years. And that didn't seem to make sense to us, I don't think, because 5 years from now, those students are long gone, and what happens to the students in between? Another idea that was thrown out was, well, it's not just that, I mean, yes, it's very much about the students, but what about faculty and staff? Shouldn't they get some inclusion too? And so there were a lot of ideas that we were throwing out, and it was really the first meeting, kind of throwing a lot of stuff to the wall to see what kind of sticks, and
Apparently nothing.
nothing yet. But yeah, so that's those are my thoughts. Kevin?
I was just gonna say simply, of course, art can be, we were talking about how art can be in any art, but of course, it's also a boardroom. Of the respect, like it's not gonna be anything for provocative, of course, art can be anything. So of course, you're gonna keep that, if we pick art, especially for students, but also that's respectful to have in a boardroom. Because if it is displayed and it's live, people will be seeing it. Some people, so we want to make sure it's, the best.
Thank you. So with this, we move to 6.9, which is climate action and environmental sustainability presentation. Chancellor, we're on 6.9, the climate action and environmental sustainability presentation.
This is the month that we come back to the board, our campus district sustainability efforts. And as the board knows, we charged a task force, I guess about a year or so ago now. And we have people teed up to give the board an update on sustainability efforts. And I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Mitchell to get us started.
Thank you. Am I on? There we go. Thank you, Chancellor, Chair, and Trustees, Student Trustee. PowerPoint up. I'm going to be joined here at the podium by our VPs of business from all three of the campuses, from Jennifer Clark from Moore Park, James Abbas at Ventura, and myself representing Oxnard. So I'll wear my two hats tonight as well. So we're going to start off with a little update on the Sustainability Task Force Committee. As the Chancellor mentioned, we were tasked with putting together a committee. We started out with a planning meeting in May of 2025, and that was an introduction to the broader community. We had faculty, classified, and student and staff representatives at that meeting to discuss what the Sustainability Task Force was going to be tasked with, and we were soliciting participation from all of the campuses. For this fiscal year, 25-26 fiscal year, we've had 6 meetings. We did start in September, we went dark in December, and we had a little bit of a challenge in October where only 2 staff members could attend the meeting. So we did have some challenges in the beginning trying to pencil in yet another meeting into everyone else's already busy calendar, but I think we're on a good track now. We're starting to have well-attended meetings after that little challenge in October and in November. So some of the task force composition. So it includes myself as the Vice Chancellor of Business and Administrative Services, our Director of Procurement, the VPs of Business. We have faculty members, the FMO directors, classified and academic senators, and ASG representatives are a part of the committee. We do not have one right now. We are actively looking for a student. We had a student in May that was committed but had a schedule change, and so we've lost that student, so we didn't get a student back in our task force. So some of the things that we are working on are the charges within our committee charge. So the first meeting, we sort of finalized that task force committee charge. One of the components of that charge was to come up with the scope of work for a sustainability consultant. We are charged with coming up with a sustainability plan for each campus, as well as the district as a whole. So we did some work on developing a scope of work for that, and a RFP subsequently from that scope of work, which I'm happy to say was issued on March the 12th. And we just received our submissions today, was our deadline to get back our submissions. So we're moving along on that charge. And then another charge that we were looking at was the development of the administrative procedure, AP 6560 for sustainability. And that is something that we are providing as information to the board this evening. So it's sort of an update as to where we are with the committee. We're going to roll into the sustainability efforts that are taking place at the campus, unless I have some questions before I leave this slide. Okay, so wearing my Oxnard hat. Out at Oxnard campus, one of the most visible sustainability efforts has been the hydration stations. Across the campus, these stations have helped to divert over 258,000 plastic bottles from landfills. The library alone has the highest number of bottles saved, which shows how heavily these stations are being used in high traffic areas. And this simple but high impact improvement, students and staff are actively participating just by refilling their bottles. So we plan to expand that. We're evaluating other areas, PE, automotive, ASG building, and the admin building. We do have one ready to go, and we're evaluating where that next one will go right now.
Dr. Mitchell? Sure.
Trustee Chancellor.
How many water stations does Oxnard College have? Are you saying it's just one?
No, it has more than one. I don't have the total here. I'm sorry. On the electrical side, they've made strong progress with the LED conversions. I want to emphasize that all of these conversions are being done in-house by our electrician. We have one electrician at Oxnard. Along with support. We've completed upgrades in multiple buildings, and there's been 600 retrofit kits that they are working on right now. The improvements reduce energy consumption and maintenance needs. We have one complex building in student services, which is a little bit difficult due to the integrated systems, but it is a part of the larger campus-wide upgrade. And so that one's probably will take us through the end of the fiscal year. They started this last fiscal year. Some of these sustainability efforts take some time to implement, and this was one that was started last year and will continue through this year. And from the ground side, the focus is on water conservation and long-term campus improvements. Smart irrigation and upgrade pumps allow us to adjust water in real time, and some VFD motors reduce wear on the system. Please don't ask me what VFD stands for. I know, is the answer. Yeah, we've also continued the tree planting and transitioning toward low water use landscaping. In addition, they've initiated capital landscaping improvement projects, and they include upgrades to key campus entry points and the development of the donor paver retiree garden. These projects are currently coming to you for board approval as well, so you'll see them coming up. And as for some challenges and next steps, while they've made strides and progress, funding is still a big challenge. There are particular improvements like low flow meters that have a substantial upfront cost that we are trying to pencil into the budget. There's also demands for upgrades like synthetic turf for the high use areas over in the sports complex. But however, moving forward, we're going to continue to build on what's working, which is the hydration stations and the LED lighting, and then we'll start to prioritize some of these other high impact, cost effective projects.
Chair Torres.
Trustee Pachowski.
One question. When I was at Oxnard College, I'm a big supporter of solar on our campuses, because I think that anything we can do to ensure that our students can continue learning in the event of a power outage by Southern California Edison, we should do. But I was a little bit concerned when I drove onto the Oxnard College campus, and noticed that the tennis courts there have basically had solar panels planted on top of them, taking away recreation space from our students. Do we know what happened there? And I realize you may not know that because you haven't been there very long. But maybe somebody else from Oxnard College here knows?
I can look into that for you.
I would appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
Make sure I get close to the camera, otherwise. Oh, all right, good evening. I'm happy to provide a quick update from Ventura College. So with us this last year, we've really kind of a lot of our focus has been on both the district-wide task force and continuing some of the projects we've had going. We've also had quite a few larger projects on campus. Our facilities team. We haven't made as much progress in the last year on some sources initiatives, but I want to highlight some of our changes. So one, we've continued our diversion program with all of our metal recycling, lawn waste, and all of those green waste issues that continue. That we added an extra 6 tons of metal this year. So the hydration stations we have continued. We've added, I believe, at least one more this year, and we're looking at where we have placing any of the older water fountains. You have we're able to go through and just on the ones that allow us to see the number of bottles that that I do want to highlight one area with this that our basic needs center students come in and basically are all provided with a water bottle and the filling station by the basic. Another thing we've done in this area, started piloting a program with campus events where we can. We started bringing 5-gallon jugs of water and the dispensers similar to what we have here. We have compostable cups or otherwise sustainable cups. Those events, we've done our best to switch towards sustainable utensils wherever possible. So the idea being that rather than have a bunch of water bottles there, we have that large group of people together to provide a sustainable alternative. Also, some water bottles. So, and then the last one I really want to highlight is a program that's a partnership between our IT department and our basic needs center that has allowed us to repurpose old staff computers or lab computers that have been aged out on our side. So they're able to wipe those computers, reinstall an open source operating system. We've been able to hand those computers out to students who need them. The basic needs center over the last year, we've given out 395 computers. Those are computers that are perfectly fine for our students to be able to use better than other self. So it's a big upgrade, and for a lot of students, it's the first time we've had home. So that's been a really successful program. Teach the computers for going to QA stream at least for a few extra years, so that they get the most life out of it. So that's been a great success. As far as energy efficiency work, we do have our PV array up and running now, so that is a big upgrade. We have done some of the transition on the lighting on campus, so we've gone away from the CFL bulbs to the LED bulbs. done that transition, also scoped out the rest of the campus area. The projects are being prioritized. Start now. Potentially, right here. And then I'll also just highlight campus outreach day event that is coming up in a second. Birthday on campus will be a big celebration. Global, around the global garden, we'll have some vendors around there. We'll have the children from the Child Development Center. So those students, real small ones, participating in planting and doing some work around the garden from the that in those. And then just to highlight a couple of the planned future efforts, like I said, participating in the district by develop updated sustainability plans. Our most recent sustainability plan, 2016, was updated a little bit, part of the facilities master plan. Sorry. See, I knew I was going to get in trouble. So we're looking forward to having that updated, and that will really help us focus our efforts going forward. And then, like I said, the solar panels are up, and we're actually right now, we're working on structure to get the charging stations installed. So that would be a big addition. Continuing to replace CFL lighting. That's really something that we know we need to do. And then, on the bottom there, we do have plans to get that RFQ out for food service. We did recently get a draft from our purchasing department of the criteria for food service vendors. So what are we looking for? We're evaluating that, and I'm very hopeful we get that RFQ out over summer so that we work with the campus to evaluate whatever that makes it proposing as we come in. Challenges very similar.
We have a different problem to James. It was the opposite. Yeah, there we go. So good evening, everybody. I have the pleasure of speaking to you and updating you on the progress that Moore Park College has made over the last year with regard to sustainability efforts. And these are the same themes that Dr. Mitchell and Mr. Zavas has spoken on. I'm going to be covering these. And just really, I'm not going to read all the slides because Moore Park, there's a lot that we do continuously. So I'm just going to pick out one or two things from each area to just kind of highlight those particular things that we've done during the last 12 months. So in the area of energy efficiency, this particular slide I wanted to, this celebrates really, this slide is about the different ways that our campus has created all kinds of different energy efficiencies. Over the last 12 months, the thing I want to highlight in particular, and my picture, or the picture of us on Zoom is actually covering the bullet point, but it's actually 13 new HVAC devices and 3 new boilers. And the reason I want to bring that to your attention again, it's why I want to call that out is because each of these devices are basically they are basically modern. They are either an energy management system or what's called a BMS, which is a building management system, which basically translates into enhanced actionable insights into into energy usage, improved occupant comfort, and reduced operational costs. Really, what we're talking about is optimizing energy consumption across all of our systems, and our boilers and HVAC systems are 2 big ones. And that's 16 new systems in the year, which is quite a bit, all done in-house. Next slide is waste reduction and resource management. what I'd like to highlight on this particular slide is, I'm not gonna mention hydration stations. We're actually up to 29, almost 30, diverting almost 1 million single-use plastic bottles, which is an awful lot. We are actively, over the last 12 months, probably the biggest thing that we've been involved in as far as time-wise, is really working with the city of Moore Park and our local authority on the SB 1383 implementation of organic waste requirements, which is basically about reducing methane gas. And so, you know, there's a call out here on this particular slide that green waste mulching, for example, 99% of all of our turf, any clippings from campus, all of that, 99% of it goes back into mulching, right? It gets mulched and it gets recycled back into the ground. On the water conservation front, I feel like I'm particularly proud of Moore Park in this area. Moore Park has been a leader for a number of years, probably across many areas of the state, I venture to say, just in how it manages a very, very proactive irrigation system across campus. As you know, we're 156 acres. A lot of Moore Park is grass. And that's very, very difficult to have this kind of water savings with that kind of grass or lawns across campus, and yet have it continue to look as good as it does. It is not without great effort that we are able to do that. So basically, I wanted to highlight basically the advanced systems and approaches to our campus-wide irrigation efforts, which now includes, and I want to highlight this last year, all athletic fields in addition to that. So we are now applying those sort of modern systems to our athletic fields as well as the sort of more central campus lawn areas. On the next slide, I wanted to highlight where we're talking about regenerative landscaping, which I mentioned a little bit already, but I wanted to just highlight the holistic approach that Moore Park takes to regenerative, I'm having a hard time saying words today, landscaping. The first 3 bullets on the regenerative landscaping side of the slide talks about that, along with we are being very proactive with our grounds equipment and all of our vehicles. We do have hills and steep hills, so only electric vehicles for our custodians, for our grounds crews. We burn through golf carts very, very quickly. So for certain parts of our staff, they require actual trucks. They've had trucks for years. We've gone to hybrid vehicles. So they're sort of the perfect, they're much, much, much more efficient than our previous fleet was, but they provide us with the kind of the use. It's a great use case for those hybrid vehicles on our campus. And then on the right-hand side of the slide was sustainable food practices, is that we're working very, very actively with our various stakeholder groups, including students on permanent food service options. And on the Moore Park College campus, there are a lot of ducks to get in a row. Believe me, we want food, hot food, or permanent food on our campus. We've wanted it for years, but it's a very long process to get those ducks in a row because honestly, the building needs attention. Underneath, it's kind of falling apart. So that campus center in the next year is going to half and half be taken offline so that we can do those improvements to the infrastructure before we can go in and do anything with the kitchens and the vending area. We have plans. We've publicized those plans. We actually shared them with you in January. We had, I think it was an 11-page document on facilities that highlights, there's a part of that highlights what we want to do to East Campus. Campus Center is in East Campus. It's very, very detailed, very comprehensive. It's multi-step. Once it's done, it's going to be amazing, but the food our food options, our permanent food options are tied up in that facilities issue that we have in these communities. And then finally.
I have one question.
Trustee
On the
Chancellor?
Previous slide.
Last slide.
Yes, please. Very brief. Bullet 2 on the right, electrical connections provided for food trucks to plug into a campus grid. Are you saying that that is an aspiration, a goal, or are you saying that's in practice right
That's in
now
practice.
for all food trucks?
For all food.
So they're not running on gas generators.
It's available to them. Some of them, whether they do it or not, I would have to get back. I honestly have to check on that. I see that it's available. In fact, I went by a couple of times to see, are they using it or are they? And in one case, I saw that they were using a generator, but I didn't have a chance to ask them why, because we provide that for them. So I would have to find out.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, and this particular slide just highlights the people, the personnel, the students, we have an ASMC Director of Sustainability. These are actual people, or like our facilities director, he's a lead accredited, lead certified facilities professional that have sustainability in their minds. That is their, if it's not their job, I'm thinking of like the Director of Sustainability on the SMC, but it is a big part of their lens on our campus. The sustainability enhancements that are currently underway, I mentioned many of these already. I mentioned reducing gas-powered equipment and vehicles. I did also want to mention on this slide that we have fully recommissioned our BESS. If you're not familiar with a BESS BESS system, it is a battery energy storage system. And you might think, oh, is that gonna, if the lights go out, does that mean we can run campus on a battery? No, unfortunately, it's not that large a battery. That takes a lot more infrastructure and a lot more money, quite honestly. But what it does is it improves our energy management and supports load balancing during peak hours. And we know that particularly in the summer, or whatever, when we've got a lot of air conditioning units running, it definitely helps and contributes toward cost savings and energy savings. Challenges and barriers, money, staffing is really it. You know, the greener we want to be, the more green we need, right? Money, it's just, it's expensive and, but we, you know, it costs a lot of money. So we are doing all that we can with the money that we have. Next steps, and our ongoing opportunities, funding, training. Again, these are things that we can do with the money, time, and resources that we have available to us. Gonna, like the last slide on the left, next steps, training all of our ground staff, because we have a couple of grounds folks who are particularly good and knowledgeable in the area of regenerative landscaping. We want all of our grounds crews to be super well trained in this area, so that we can, again, we'll build capacity. If we're going to build the capacity of all of our grounds crews campus wide, so that we can, you know, we can sort of amplify that work across campus. Please.
Trustee Pachowski?
Yeah, question regarding the major water saving projects. Has there been any discussion of partnering with the Cayugas Water District about possibly getting some funding through them for water saving projects? I know they've been encouraging residential water saving projects and residential landscaping type of issues, like don't factor in you have the drought.
Right.
Just the thought that there might be an opportunity to partner with.
That's a great idea. I'm not aware, but that's a good lead and that's a great question to ask. Thank you.
Okay, we do have our chancellor who wanted to add some final comments to the presentation.
I just want to, first of all, I want to thank you for the presentation. When I joined the district, and I also want to thank the board for really focusing attention on this subject. It's a big subject. It's a big topic. There's we can just see from the presentation, there's so many different things and different directions to go to spend time and green on. And this is certainly what you've seen in a presentation isn't an exhaustive list from each of the campuses or different stages of the work that they're doing with that, but it is commendable work. A couple of years ago, we revised the district policy on sustainability, and I give Trustee Chancellor a lot of credit for kind of keeping the pressure on this. It was good pressure in the sense that we all of us recognize both our responsibility and the opportunity to kind of reduce our footprint as far as energy consumption and environmental sustainability issues. There's a cost involved, there's people involved, there's time involved. Out of that, the task force that was created, and Dr. Mitchell was relatively new to the district at that time when we launched this on her, and pulling a district-wide group together that really speaks to the principle of district-wide collaboration around issues that we have in common together as a community college district is going to bear more fruit. You're starting to see some of that fruit being born now. It's hard, complicated work. You mentioned a consultant bid that's out, right now. And I don't know, Dr. Mitchell, if you want to just chat just a little bit about what you anticipate in terms of future direction with the task force, with the work in terms of coordinating this district-wide, and maybe just some next steps in that direction. Just not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to.
No problem. I'm actually very excited about the work that we're doing, especially now that we have the RFP results back. We've had a lot of great questions. We had really good responses. I haven't gone through all of the bids yet, but once we have that in place, the task force, our next charge is to then work with the consultant to start identifying those opportunities and what does that sustainability plan look like individually at each one of the campuses, where we can really get to the meat of what we're going to be doing at that particular campus and across the district. Following that, we also have an educational component to it, in which we need to get that going. That's the next step. Next phase is to get our educational component going with staff and students. So we still have a lot of work to do this first year. The one goal that we wanted to meet was to get that the efforts going on the sustainability plans, because that is the biggest lift for us, and I'm glad that we're moving in that direction. We anticipate having something in place by December as far as a plan to start looking at prioritizing what projects we're going to move forward.
Thank you. Thank you to the three of you for such a comprehensive and well-detailed presentation. There was a lot of thought that went into it. And just to share the comments that Chancellor McClennan, thank you so much for in this past year being able to put together the task force and bring us together specifics of what you're going to be doing at each one of your campus. So we really appreciate it, because it's something that's been a priority to our board for a very long time. And I know it's also shared with the district. So thank you very much for the presentation. And if there are no further questions from the board, Trustee Mantooth?
A comment, if I may. I'd really like to applaud the district for the development of another piece connected to this item, which is the administrative procedure 6560. Because it puts in writing what the action steps should be, including requirements for sustainability plans, updating those plans, having an annual task force report so that we can stay informed, and a website. But most importantly, I believe, is the human element and the references to education and training and changing behaviors, because this has implications beyond the campus. It's like somebody asking, well, why do I have to take first aid training? Well, it's not because you're going to use it on the job necessarily. You may use it on your child at home. And the practices that can be developed here and the awareness that can be built can migrate into individual people's private lives as well. That helps everybody. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Mantooth. Trustee Chancellor?
Yeah, I wanna, thank you all for the report and, but really anyone that has their hands on sustainability work throughout the district. I wanna also applaud the work on developing the AP that's in front of us. And I know we have to stay in our lane of board policy, but I think our board policy needs some work to enhance the AP a little bit, because the way I read the AP, it's a framework. But it does lack clear standards. And again, I'm not criticizing the work that's being done or the future work being done. But I think an example is the water stations. Right now, a best practice is to use the water stations. But we don't have a policy that says the district will not purchase single-use water bottles at events. So it's sort of up to the decision of an individual for each event versus a policy saying, this is what we believe in, our practices will follow that. Or with, for example, the gas generators for the food trucks. Like it's an option, but it lacks a board or an AP, not board policy, an AP to say, this is policy of our district. If you're going to serve students at our district, it will be connected to the grid, hopefully using our solar power, and it'll be clean energy versus some of the dirtiest emission producing machines, which is a gas generator. So for me, I'd really like to see an AP that digs in a little bit more and has some guardrails and has some just directness to it.
So as a task force, we talked a lot about where that should live, and we felt that should live within the sustainability plans, because those plans are very, very specific for each campus. Not that we wouldn't take that same concept that's happening at Moore Park and apply it to all of the campuses as well as to district office, but those are the conversations we had, that we wanted to develop the framework and point it to the sustainability plan, as I said, that would have that meat that you're looking for. That information specific to how it's going to be implemented at each campus. Maybe it is that we have a goal of 80% hydration stations at all of the campuses, but those types of nuances, if you will, we're hoping to vet those through that plan. So this way, we're just updating that plan annually, as opposed to coming back and updating the AP and going through that process. We're pointing to the sustainability plans for that.
So what we're saying is board policy to AP to sustainability plan.
Exactly.
Okay, then I appreciate that. The only other suggestion is to look at the chancellor's office at the state and to look at their 2030 sustainability plan and their policies, because they are very specific and they do have outcomes.
Yes.
And there's some concrete details to that. So that's the only other.
Included that in our RFQ, that our vendor needed to be familiar with that plan as well, because we plan to have that be a part of our sustainability plans.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With this, we move to 6.10, foundation reports for Moore Park, Oxford, and Ventura College foundations. Chancellor McLennan.
So I see people queuing themselves up to the microphone. We did have brief presentations at the ASC meeting. I think we wanted to bring those same presentations to the full board, so I'm gonna turn it over to.
I think we're waiting
Dr.
for
Mitchell.
the presentations to see who will be coming up first. What presentation? Were there verbal reports? I'm sorry, or PowerPoint? My apologies, then I'll let you.
Good evening, dear Forrest, trustees, Chancellor McLennan, and colleagues. I'm Debbie Klein, and it's truly an honor to stand before you tonight on behalf of Moore Park College Foundation, an organization rooted in generosity, community, and an unwavering belief in transformative power of education. When I joined Moore Park College and the foundation in fiscal year 23, we were at the beginning of a new chapter, one grounded in possibility. In that first year, from January to June, we raised $380,000. Fiscal year 24, that grew to $778,000. In fiscal year 25, we reached $1,370,000. And now, in fiscal year 26 to date, we have already raised $1,845,000. That brings our total to $4,373,000 raised in just under 4 years. Let me pause there for a moment. While that number is significant, it's not the most important part. What matters most is where these dollars have gone and how they are actively shaping the lives of our students, strengthening our faculty, and enhancing our campus. This is not money sitting in accounts. This is money in motion. This is impact, transforming student lives. Over 1.46 million has gone directly to scholarships. That means thousands of moments where a student didn't have to choose between rent and tuition, where a dream stayed alive, where a future remained possible. In addition, over 72,000 has supported basic needs, helping students with food, housing, and stability. We're investing in signature programs. Our beloved Zoo program has received nearly 1.47 million. In biotechnology, we've invested over 534,000, fueling innovation, workforce development, and pathways into high-demand careers. In nursing, more than 143,000 has supported the education of future healthcare professionals, individuals who will go on to serve our community with skill and compassion. And in CNSE, in engineering and the arts, we're planting seeds of creativity, discovery, and technological advancement with support in excess of 75,000. Our student athletes have benefited from over 181,000 in support because education also happens on the field in discipline, teamwork, and resilience. What we are seeing is not just growth and fundraising. We are seeing alignment between philanthropy and mission. We are seeing a community that believes in Moorpark College. We are seeing donors who trust that their investments will be stewarded with care and turned into meaningful outcomes. This success belongs to all of us, to this Board of Trustees for your leadership and vision, to our campus partners for their collaboration, to our donors for their generosity, and most importantly, to our students who inspire every dollar raised. Our small but mighty team, Even Osuna, Foundation Coordinator, Araceli Avila, Foundation Development Officer, and Christy Rodriguez-Rivas, our Moorpark College Scholarship Technician, is incredibly proud, not just of what we have accomplished, but of what it represents: hope, opportunity, and transformation. And we're just getting started. Thank you so very much for all of your support.
Thank you.
Hello, I'll be pitch hitting for the Foundation of Oxnard College. I'll start out with the mission, which I find to be very valuable. The Oxnard College Foundation supports student success and institutional excellence by providing scholarships, educational programs, and campus initiatives that strengthen Oxnard College and expand opportunities for our students. That mission is extremely important and very valuable to us. We have a 16-member board, and then we have 3 foundation staff, one as an executive director, a senior manager of events and marketplace, and then a scholarships and outreach staff. Now, the strategic priorities for this past year are to enhance the foundation image, grow the foundation infrastructure, build revenue, and identify and engage alumni. Just a couple of outcomes. There have been 357 scholarships awarded to our students, totaling $273,600. That's amazing. The foundation has 2 new scholarships in 24-25. We have the Luke Langlier Memorial Scholarship and the Metallica Scholars. Thank you, Chancellor, for helping support that. The investment beyond that $273,000 is an additional $125,000 invested in the various Oxnard College programs, including opportunities for events in academic affairs, student government, athletics, the various events that we have, the Condor Fest, Family Festival, our first year experience for our students to support student success in their first year, the college graduation, and then the multiple library and learning resource centers, as well as parent family orientation, our Promise program, the School of STEM and the STEM alumni, as well as TRIO support services and university transfer center. The foundation has an employee giving, and we have 27 employees participating in that to the total of $10,746,000 raised in 24-25. We have had some challenges with the community marketplace. However, the highest month was in August at $65,100 in August raised. The lowest month was September at $45,000 with an average monthly revenue of $54,673. Overall, the foundation has approximately a little under $10,800,000 to invest in future support for our students. I just personally, as the acting president of Oxnard College, want to thank the foundation for all of the work that they're doing for our students and making our students successful.
Thank you. Ventura College.
Good evening, trustees and everybody here. It is my privilege to represent the foundation as the executive director. I'm Ann Paul. And I'm also here on behalf of the board of directors, of which there are a few board of directors members here in the room. So thank you, James Abbas, and thank you, Dr. Luca Lewis, for your leadership. The commensurate return is in your packets as well as an extensive slideshow. I'll touch on a few highlights. I will start with the scheduled commensurate return, which is the report about tax usage of taxpayer dollars at the foundation and the return on that investment. In the 24-25 year, we used $329,000 of taxpayer services, and the net return on that investment was $2.2 million. Also, we secured future benefits to the district, and we have $31 million in restricted endowments and investment accounts for the campus and for our students. So I'm proud to report those things. I also want you to know that we've been around since 1983 and have raised over $51 million in the last 43 years for our students and the programs at Ventura College. Other highlights. I just want to tell you and shine a light on the fact that our students show up, and all their students across this campus, across this district, show up. They show up, they come to class, they come to campus, they show up for themselves, they show up for their families, and in turn, they are showing up for our community, because every time one of our students crosses that graduation stage and gains a certificate, gains their diploma, our community's economic prosperity rises. And so that's extremely important. We are here for the entire economy of our region as an entity, as a district, as a group of students. So last year, 4,300 certificates and degrees were conferred upon students at Ventura College. The ways in which the foundation helped support those students were through a number of programs, including the Promise Program, $158,000 in additional support, $30,000 in additional support for our basic needs programs. We provided for $946,000 in scholarships to 270 students. We err on the side of trying to give as much as possible to our students to remove significant barriers for their education. As you know, the faster the student gets through school, the more likely they are to achieve their academic goals. We provided $30,000 in textbook and equipment support, a totaling of $1.1 million to 12,000 students over 3 semesters in direct student support. With regard to supporting our campus, we passed through $1.5 million to 56 different programs across 14 different departments or divisions. We're very proud of our employee giving campaign, which generated about $79,000 from 94 employees across our campus. It's one of the largest programs in the state, and we're so grateful to our employees for not only giving their talent and their time, but also their treasure. And finally, in terms of our financial health, we had revenues of $2.8 million, investment income adding $3.2 additional million, and we operate under a $4.1 million budget. Our net assets are $35 million under management. Most of that comes from individual private support, 58%. 34% comes from the net income, which is just under $1 million from our marketplace, our swap meet. And that's 34% there. Our operating expenses, we spent 25 cents on administration and fundraising expenses for every dollar that we raised. That's important because it's 8%, 7 to 8% higher than last year. And that's because we've invested in a campaign, a multi-million-dollar campaign to support the Ventura College Promise Program, tuition assistance program, and our basic needs centers. So next year, you'll hear about the success of that at this particular moment. And this is our way of celebrating the 100th anniversary of the college. So at this particular moment, we have a $7 million goal, and we've raised $6.6 million towards that goal. What that also means is that we've got 5 weeks to graduation, and we've got $400,000 left to raise in 5 weeks. So we're working very hard at the foundation to cross that finish line. I want to thank our board of directors for the foundation, for their vision and their support, their tremendous support. I want to thank this body for creating these foundations so that we can provide that access to this private money. And I want to thank our students that inspire us every day, for all of us who come to work every day because of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from our trustees? Thank you very much for presenting. We are so appreciative and thankful to our foundations that they really help support our students with any need that they have. And we appreciate you being here. And you're here every month. So you're always here with us. And thank you very much for the presentations, the PowerPoints, the reports, and your thorough presentation delivered to the board. So thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. With this, we're going to recess for about 5 minutes, and then we'll reconvene as the board. Consent calendar.
Chair Torres.
Trustee Lichto.
Yeah, in addition to the items that have been pulled already, I'd like to pull item 7.1.1 minutes from last month's meetings.
Okay, so just for the board, the items that were pulled that we have here are 7.1, 8.2 from Trustee Pachowski, 8.5 from Trustee Chancer, all of the ones under 9.0 from Trustee Lichto, and 10.3 from Trustee Mantooth. Is there any additional ones that we wanted to get pulled?
10.1, please.
Okay, 10.1 from Trustee Pachowski. Okay.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar absent those items.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Trustee Lichto to approve the items in the consent calendar with the exception of 7.1, 8.
Chair Torres. By approving the consent calendar, would we be approving early tenure?
I pulled that item.
You pulled that item?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't making a mistake. That's all.
Thank you, Trustee Pachowski. So we have a motion made by Trustee Lichto and seconded by Trustee Mantooth to approve the consent calendar with the exception of 7.1, 8.2, 8.5, all of the ones listed under 9.0, 10.1, and 10.3. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. 7.1, Trustee Lichto.
Thank you. 7.11 is the minutes from last meeting in March. And I think it's important that, and this is no condemnation on whoever's the individuals that are compiling the minutes and providing that, but at the same time, I think it's important that we reflect accurately, in some cases, especially when we have a departure from our processes and procedures, items that may occur. So under last month's meeting, 13.1, consent approval ratification of personnel. There was a discussion the previous month related to this item. That item carried over into this meeting. And in the time that I've been on the board, there was a unprecedented action taken by the board chair to, number one, not allow a board member to complete statements and comments related to the item. And then subsequent to that, not allowing myself to speak on that item. And quite frankly, in giving our board chair the benefit of the doubt, I think that in the actions that had happened during that evening, there was maybe an understanding that I had already spoken to that item during that evening, which I certainly had not. And if not for our legal counsel during the brief recess that we took, advising the board chair to allow me to speak, there's a chance that I would not have had the opportunity to speak. And as I said last month, during February, we did have a lengthy discussion on that item. And as I started my statement, I mentioned that after some reflection and some consideration, and I just think it's important for us to memorialize in the minutes more accurately the actions that occurred and how it occurred, so that we don't repeat that action where a board member is denied the opportunity to complete their statements or speak on behalf of an item. So I would respectfully request that the minutes be more accurately reflective of those actions.
So we do have also our legal counsel present, so we can reflect those items, but I did want to also make it clear. So during the time we took recess, the decision to allow you to continue to speak, Trustee Lictor, I made the decision. So it wasn't legal counsel. So it was no direction of legal counsel. And so we have our minutes, our video actually, to be able to go look at it. Is my mic coming in and out? It was an item where every board member had an opportunity to speak. And so we took a recess and I made the choice. It wasn't our legal counsel who advised me that said you needed to speak because you hadn't spoken on the item. It was more so because I look at our board and that's important to me. And so I said, Trustee Lictor is able to finish the comment. And I think it was explained also during
Because right there on what you're saying, that's inaccurate. I wasn't completing my statements because I hadn't spoken on that item during the month of March. That was my point. Had I had the opportunity to speak during the month of March on that item, I may have acquiesced, but I had not had the opportunity to speak or weigh in whatsoever, and was told by you that I would be denied the opportunity to speak. So, and again, you've repeated twice already in the last 3 minutes that I was continuing to speak when I hadn't spoken at all on the item. And again, I don't want to belabor the point. This is not a wrong, right issue. This is, I think it was an egregious misstep on your part, for which I'm hoping you're taking responsibility. And I just hope it doesn't get repeated by any board chair, you or anyone else who serves in that position. That's why I'm asking that be reflected in the minutes. I had not had an opportunity to speak on that item during the month of March. That was my objection, and it was heard. And it was my understanding that in consultation with legal counsel, you were advised to allow me to speak. If that's not true, that's my understanding.
I made the decision.
Okay, thank you for making the decision.
So you did speak. And so I think if we look at the matter, you did speak. So in March, you did have the opportunity to speak. And so as we look at our minutes, and we have our legal counsel as well.
That item was kind of like, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, in the sense that there were two topics that were. Yes. And the first topic that was brought up was with regards to the hiring of an individual, the process, right? That's a good way to put it, the process. And several board members spoke to the process part of it, still the same item. And my recollection, and kind of went back and looked, is that is that trustee Pachowski and a few others, including trustee Little, spoke to the process part of it, right? And so then there was the second part of that item, which is still the same item, but the second part of the item was the actual.
Was related to one of the positions that we were being asked to confirm.
Right, and that was more focused on, you know, bringing up whether or not that was against executive order, the other kind of meat and potatoes of the item, not the process. And so at least in part of the discussion, when there was this discussion about whether you had spoke or not, there had been, at least on that item, some discussion by you as a trustee, even though it was a separate part. And at that time, there was, you know, discussion about whether you spoke or not, and trustee Torres made the decision that you would get to continue to speak on to the second part of the item, if that's accurate, yes. So I don't think it was referring to the fact that you had spoken before. I know that there had been some allusion to that, but in the instant moment, it was more about the fact that there had been some discussion on the item, but there were really kind of two issues. So that's kind of where that came from. And then I know that I just looked at the minutes, and it does, because you did ultimately get to, both of you actually ended up getting to finish the thoughts that you wanted to meet, and that is reflected in the minutes. So I think that's, you know, ultimately that's how it went down.
You, Joey. And yes, and that is reflected in the minutes because at the end, everybody did make their comments and did have the opportunity to speak. So with this, we have 7.1. We have the minutes. Any further discussion? So we do have minutes that need approval. What do we need a motion? We need a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes 7.1 as provided.
Second that.
Okay, so we have a motion made by trustee Chancellor to approve the minutes as provided, seconded by trustee Mantooth. Any further discussion? Okay, student trustee, how do you vote? Let's take a roll call vote, Maida, for this one.
No.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. With this, we move to 8.2, trustee Pachowski.
Regarding the purchase order number P01450556. It's a $20,000 technology refresh for the Chancellor's office.
I think that's one of the questions we received prior to the board meeting. Were we able to respond to that? So is there something beyond that, trustee Pachowski, that you were concerned about? I know that Dr. Watkins can help explain some of the technical aspects of what's going on.
I would appreciate that because we need $20,000 for one.
Just waiting for it to come on. The current setup is very old and was supposed to be temporary, and we had planned for a long time to implement something. In the response, we put that the technician would undo all of the technology that was in there to support it, and then also put in a new conference room. We're also going to be testing the ceiling mics. That there was a request, I think, at the last board meeting for mics here that were ceiling that weren't these. So we're going to put that in a small kind of test case. So part of the cost is that the technology is about $13,000 in there, and then the rest is labor, tax, and everything else. But this is something that will last for many years. And as stated in the past, a lot of times when we do things cheaply, We're doing it every 2 to 3 years. This is something that will last hopefully the next 7 to 10 years because we're investing in something that then we can potentially replicate in the board.
I appreciate the explanation. I have to admit, I don't recall there being a preference for ceiling mics in here. I will mention that I did have the opportunity recently to be at the County Government Center and the Board of Supervisors hearing room. And I noticed that I got to actually utilize the system that they have. They've got Shure mics that when you press the button, it lights up, the microphone lights up, it lets the chair know that you want to speak. And they seem to be higher quality microphones than the ones that we're using right now. So my recommendation for in here would be something along those lines. I'll make a motion to approve and this is further discussion.
So there's a motion to approve 8.2. Trustee Pachowski,
Second.
seconded by trustee Lichto. Is there any further discussion? Okay, student trustee, how do you vote? Trustees, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. 8.5, trustee Chancellor.
Thank you very much. This is the 311 report and, you know, I always like these come quarterly and I always like looking at these. And one of my favorite parts about these reports or documentation, I know we have to send it to the state, is it kind of lists our ending fund balance. And I was reminded, there's a lot of items on our agenda today that expressed the challenges with budgetary constraints, whether it's on the negotiation side or whether it's on the sustainability side, and the list goes on. But I did want to notice, or did want to point out that our ending fund balance for 2024-25 is 96.772. Well, $96.7 million. And that number continues to grow year after year. And I hate to say it this way, but that's worrisome to me that we're holding on to so much money. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve 311 report.
I'll second that. With some discussion perhaps. So the 96.7 million, that is the beginning fund balance, and the projected ending balance of 84.1 million. That includes our statutory reserves. Is that correct?
Yes, that is. And I will bring Richard up for the exact, I think he's going to be at the podium, but.
Sorry,
yeah,
Richard.
That does include our statutory reserves. It includes also our 3% reserve. In that statutory, you're referring to the 2 months worth of actual expenditures that we are required to put into that ending fund balance. And I'll let Richard.
Before we get to that, can I ask a clarifying question? I thought the statutory requirements was 3% through ed code. The 2 months reserve of our operation was a recommendation that we needed to do to receive some funding. It was a recommendation, not statutory. So I just want to clarify that, and maybe that's a valid question. What happens if now that we've received the funding because of the 2 months ongoing funds as an increased reserve, what would happen if we just got closer to 3%? Because we're nowhere near it. I mean, I don't want to send alarms to the public that we're anywhere near 3%. And I also know that it includes 113 and 114. So I'm not hiding that detail, but just thought I'd mention.
Aren't the statutory reserves in our board policy? Yes or no?
Trustee Chancellor is correct. It's not a statutory requirement. It was a condition of receipt of the 14 point whatever million dollars for the block grant money we received in 2023, I believe. But it was considered a best practice for an organization like ours, and it is memorialized in board policy. I guess I should also point out that in some of the fund balance information the board looked at earlier tonight, you saw some different numbers, slightly different numbers as well. And the amount of reserves that were estimated to be in unallocated reserves was a relatively smaller number. So I don't know if you want to add to that, or Richard.
You're referring to what was they saw upstairs? And yes, well, a budget is a constantly changing document. So yes, at quarter, this 311 report goes through a period ending of March the 31st, 2026. So that was before we had the information that we presented that included P1 and the additional revenues. I think we're okay. I just didn't know if you had another question regarding what was the components of the ending fund balance that the 84 were.
Yes, I was just going to reiterate from Trustee Chancellor of the fund balance that you're referring to, the 94 million. Majority of that is designated funds within Fund 111. We do have the 2 month of expenditures that we need to hold, the $3 million of one time, as well as the remainder of that would be Fund 113 and 114, which are designated for those purposes.
And at this point, our unallocated reserves are how much?
At this moment, our unallocated reserves are, I would have to do as of Q3, I would have to look into it, but it's roughly around the $3
million range.
Roughly around that. I would have to look into it to confirm for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there still further discussion? We do have a motion to approve 8.5 made by Trustee Chancellor, seconded by Trustee Lichtel. Student trustee, how do you vote? Trustees all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. 9.0, all of them was listed. Trustee Lichtel.
Yeah, I'm seeing 8 districts, 9 plus the one more park that is I guess an initial agreement, if I read that right. So I'm very excited about the fact that we are continuing with these CCAP agreements and with all of these districts, all the districts throughout the county. I think that's amazing, as well as non-CCAP agreements. I did have one question about courses that are being offered through these agreements, and my kind of overarching question, it's kind of a big item from the standpoint of how are these selected? How are the courses that are being offered? How are those selected? They're some similar from one district to the next. So, I see that's maybe something that the district is putting forward as maybe a pathway for students. And then there's some nuanced differences as well. So I'm wondering, what's the process for that?
Can you please repeat that?
I can start.
I'm happy to repeat my question.
If you don't,
If I can remember what it was.
If you don't mind, I'm going to you'll understand let me answer
Wait,
part of
which job were you doing just now?
Was responding to a student.
You're at Oxnard College right now. Go ahead.
So, as you know, we've been on this road for dual enrollment for about 3 years now, almost 4 years. To answer your question, from a district-wide perspective, there were one-offs. Sometimes it was what the school wanted, sometimes it what the college had the capacity to provide. And sometimes it was programmatic and sometimes it wasn't programmatic. What we've really tried to center on in the last, as we develop our relationships with the school district, is meaningful pathways, so that students are actually connected to something that has a start and a finish and a connection to something viable for their higher education career. The whole idea of this is to give them something tangible that they can see as a pathway into our community colleges or onto a four-year college if that's the choice that they decide to pursue. So what Dr. Herrera and team have been working on is working out those agreements and what those pathways are going to be looking like, especially negotiating, not negotiating, but collaborating with our faculty at the 3 colleges in collaboration with our school districts. So the question was really about how do we decide which courses go into the colleges?
That's exactly what I would have said, and I apologize.
No, that's okay. None needed. And for some of us, we've been on this train for 10 or 12 years. So I appreciate the progress that we're making. And I understand the idea of a pathway that connects students through their high school curriculum and graduation requirements into and through our college system. I do appreciate that. And I was pleased to see that there was quite a few one-off courses that were being offered, and just want to reiterate that, you know, we talk about equity a lot, and I think this is the equity issue in our county, especially for students in schools where perhaps a course that may be available on one side of the county is not available on their side of the county, like maybe a, you know, second year of calculus, for example, or even a statistics course. I want to make sure that we're going to continue as a district to provide those courses for students and make those available. Because like I said, these are the equity issues. If I'm at school A and I have those courses available to me, I have no need for the dual enrollment program. But if I'm at school B, those courses are not available, that is a gatekeeper to that student entering a four-year college right out of high school. And I think part of our job in a K through 14 system is to help students matriculate into that four-year system. So I don't want us to lose sight of the pathway platform. I also want to make sure that we are considering continuing with the one-off courses, because I think that's very essential for many.
Go ahead.
We are definitely following a blended approach to meet the demands and needs of our students. So what you just said is exactly what we're doing.
And I would just add that from a principal perspective,
A PAL or a PLE?
value, principle.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I was going through the spelling in my head, so. The principle of equity is what's driven this conversation from the beginning. And that's center to everything that we're doing around this. So, thank you.
Okay. Trustee Chancellor and then Trustee Pachowski.
In regards to the agreement with Ventura Unified, I just wanted to mention a thank you for making sure that the students at the continuation school were included in this. I see that there's 3 courses there. I also, I want to make sure I'm not missing, I didn't see Ventura High School there. I saw Buena, El Camino, Pacific, but the biggest school in the city of Ventura, high school anyways, I didn't see there. So I was just wondering if they don't have a program yet, or there's something in it. Doesn't need to be addressed now, but it was just something I noticed. Didn't need to be extended.
Okay, Trustee Pachowski.
Yeah, kind of parceling off of Trustee Lichtel's question. I guess I kind of wanted to get an idea as far as what dual enrollment classes we offered this year, and get some kind of information as far as, you know, how close we are to capacity in those classes. Because, you know, obviously, I mean, I think the dual enrollment program is absolutely fantastic. I think it's one of the best things we can do as a district. I just want to make sure that, you know, that the classes that we're offering are being taken advantage of by the students in the high schools where they have this available. Now, Dr. Herrera and I did have a brief conversation prior to me going up to closed session, and I realized she isn't going to be able to provide that tonight. But I do look forward to receiving that in the future. But Trustee Chancellor brought up an interesting point about the schools, the high schools in Ventura Unified. So I'm going to ask the same question about SEME Unified. I see Royal High School on the SEME MOU, but I don't see Santa Susana or Apollo High School. Is that because we haven't reached an agreement with SEME Unified with that, or? Isn't that you, John?
It is. Our Vice President of Student Support. It's the primary for our dual enrollment. So Mustafa Gauss says to the podium.
See, I thought it was yours because it was academic.
We have a blended model. So we, no, I mean, we do. And so we divide up our responsibilities. So
It was like this.
Yep.
Thank you for the question. We have had classes in Santa Susana. It could be that sometimes some of our MOUs come in a little late, and sometimes we just need to figure out which and how many classes we need to offer, because it is sort of this blended kind of agreement where it's also based on what classes they want as a school district, and then what classes also we have to balance it with what classes we have and available for us to be out there at the site.
Thank you. Trustee Petrowski, what was your question again? Which ones?
I was asking specifically about Santa Susana and Apollo.
So Santa Sue is on the list. It's on page 2. There's 2. There's an intro to social justice and a stats. Then Royal. In addition to, I am familiar with, we do have also articulation, which is not under this type of dual enrollment model. But we do engage with Simi Valley in terms of our biotech classes. And that's also at Santa Sue.
I didn't see a second page.
Okay. It's on the SVUSD.
Now.
You see it? Okay.
Chair Torres, may I ask a question?
Trustee Lichto?
Yeah, Dr. Forbes, since you brought up the articulated courses, I'm kind of wondering, I'm seeing here like a particular district, my home district, if you will, there are 12 courses that are being offered through dual enrollment at those 3 high schools. And that's the Conejo Valley Unified School District between Newberry, Thousand Oaks High School and Westlake High School. Could we at some point get a report as far as articulated courses? Because I know there was a time that those were pretty robust and pretty plentiful. And those are no longer in place.
I'll let you go, and then we do have one, I would call it the exception to what our initiative is moving forward and the rationale for that. It is in biotech specifically, but it's a pretty narrow use case.
Yeah, over the last 3 years, we have been phasing out the articulation and replacing it with dual enrollment for purposes that it benefits our students and they get college credit, whereas articulation, oftentimes the student would pursue the credit. So there may be some 1 or 2 at each of the colleges, but for the most part, it's very minimal.
In Moorpark's case, it is directly related to our bachelor's degree in biotech.
Right.
It's a very unique, narrow course. And so anything else that can be served under regular dual enrollment CCAP or non-CCAP, you're going to want to do.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, because at one point I know we had nearly a dozen Thousand Oaks High School articulated courses that were really benefiting students, but I'm sure there's a good reason for it, so I won't question it. So thank you for that.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, so can we have a motion? Courses 9.
Chair Torres,
Trustee Lichto?
I move to approve items 9.1 through 9.9.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion made by Trustee Lichto to approve 9.1 to 9.9, seconded by Trustee Mantu. I'm sorry, from Trustee Petrowski. Student Trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. 10.1, Trustee Petrowski.
I pulled this one for one very simple reason. If you look at the list of personnel on here. You look at page 2, at the top of the list for Moore Park College, we are hiring Avery Anderson as an assistant coach of the track and field program. Avery Anderson used to be the director of track and field at UCLA. So I just wanted to call out the fact that we have a coach who has coached at the highest caliber joining our staff. And so I want to welcome Coach Anderson to the Ventura Community College family. And with that, I'll move that we approve 10.1.
Thank you. Motion made by Trustee Petrowski. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Trustee Lichto. Student Trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. 10.3, Trustee Mantu.
I actually pulled this item only to avoid potential confusion because normally all of the items that don't get pulled get approved. But mixed in here is an item that actually isn't asking for action. In fact, the recommendation is no action with regard to expediting tenure prior to completion of the.
We snuck that in on the consent calendar just to test and see if anybody was looking at, no, that's a mistake on our part, so.
Because it could have easily been construed in approving the consent calendar that this expedition of tenure got approved as well. So, and I think.
And I want to thank,
Pachowski.
I want to thank trustee
Thank
Manfred
you,
for catching it as well, because at least two of us did.
I thought the recommended action was no action, so
Right, so let's see if we had
no action.
passed it as part of the consent calendar, it would have been approved.
For
We
no
would have
action.
taken action.
Yeah, I think we're in a better place. So, do we need a motion to approve 10.3?
No, unless, so if the board chooses not to take action on the item, then there is no action that's taken. If the board wanted to approve the item, then, or expedite tenure, then they would have to make a motion.
Chair.
Trustee Chancellor?
I understand that the chancellor and presidents do not recommend tenure or expedited tenure, but the committee does. And there were some comments made it about, and I've been pretty consistent. And I will mention, I sound like a broken record here, but in the past, we have granted early tenure for situations. But keeping in mind that the committee for tenure does encompass managers. So I will make a motion to approve early tenure as recommended by the committee.
Seconds.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve early tenure by the committee, made by trustee Chancellor, seconded by our student trustee. Any discussion? Okay. Student trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. Trustees in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Motion fails. So with this, we now move on. It was the first one. 11.1 for policies.
Board Chair Torres. I move that we approve 11.1, Board Policy 4025, Philosophy and Criteria for Degrees in General Education. This was discussed at our meeting of last month.
Second.
So we have a motion to pass 11.1 made by trustee Lickle, seconded by trustee Pachowski. Discussion. Student trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. 12.1,
Chair Torres,
trustee Lickle.
I move that based on the agenda item with numerical listing of the names, that we approve the following candidates: 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8.
Second.
I will state that I recognize that all 9 of these candidates will be elected. But I'm choosing not to vote in favor of 1, 6, 7, and 9. And therefore, that's my motion.
Okay, discussion. So we have a motion made by trustee Lickle to submit the names of candidates 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, seconded by trustee Pachowski. Discussion.
Without going one by one, although it may inevitably turn it, oh, sorry, Chair. I guess, since all 9 will serve, unless every board across the state, I assume, does what you're recommending to do and they get no votes. I guess I'm curious why certain candidates stood out enough for you to recommend not supporting them.
Well, I think you said it in your statement. Some stood out and some didn't. And so from my standpoint, we are voting for representatives for our community college system, if you will. And so I feel comfortable voting for these individuals based on their criteria, based on their backgrounds, based on their statements. And I'm not comfortable casting my vote for the individuals listed under 1, 6, 7, and 9. While understanding that all 9 of these candidates will be elected and selected.
So I'll share. Is there any other trustee who would like to speak? Okay, so yes, all 9 candidates will be selected. And I think our vote just says in terms of the Ventura County Community College District who we're supporting in the election, although 9 of them will be appointed or elected. Roberto Rodriguez from Palomar Community College District has been very involved at the state level in different committees. That's candidate number 1. Candidate number 6, Carlos Guerrero from Santa Clarita. I was reading, just his bio, some of the work he's done. He seemed like he's done some really good work. He's closer to us in Santa Clarita. I don't know him personally, so I really can't speak from a personal level in terms of the state level. I haven't been to many of the different conferences. Perhaps some of the other trustees that have been can share a little bit more. They've had the opportunity to meet him. The other candidate listed, 7, Deanna Olivares. We did recommend her, I believe, last year, 2 years before.
I was gonna say, not last year.
Or 2 years before. I think she was one of the ones we did support. And then Judy, candidate number 9, she's been very involved at the CCLC for many years. She's been involved in ACES. She's been involved at of course, she's an incumbent, so she's been involved within the board. So for myself, I look at it as our district being in support of the electeds that are going to be there, because it does send a message in terms of who we're supporting and who we're not. So given the fact that all of these candidates will be there representing us, my recommendation would be to support all of the 9 candidates.
Can we call for the question?
Okay. Okay, so we do have a motion on the table to approve candidates 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, made by trustee Licto, seconded by trustee Pachowski. Student trustee, how do you vote?
Just from those 4 only?
Just for those 4.
Oh, then no.
Trustees in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Nay. The motion fails.
Approve all the candidates. And with the comment that, from what I understand, this is a voluntary job, volunteer extra duty beyond the trustee role. And I myself, if someone is willing to volunteer and there are 9 open spots and there are 9 people, I'm comfortable with diverse voices. And I think that's a healthy thing that represents somebody that is fighting for issues that may not be my issues, but that represents their community college and hopefully the community colleges, all community colleges within the state. On that, the only other comment I would make is, Bernardo Perez, former trustee here that, he served for a long time. And one thing I would like to see is maybe hopefully in the next round, somebody from this board to represent our 3 colleges and the work that we're doing here. So that's just putting it out there. But I want to applaud the individuals that put themselves out there for a voluntary position like this.
Trustee Mantu?
I would like to second trustee Chancellor's motion with the comment that it is a de facto situation, regardless of what we do individually here. And I think it is important because they all 9 will be taking these seats and these responsibilities that we show support for them going into their work.
And
Thank you, Trustee
Trustee Torres,
Matthews.
if I may,
Trustee Licto?
I just want to state that, I did research on each of these individuals. I've got notes I reviewed. So I didn't I don't feel it's our place just to rubber stamp a slate of 9 individuals without having an opportunity to speak to who we feel individually or as a board should represent us. I didn't give any reasons, wasn't asked, don't have to. I did my research based on what I've read. Those are the individuals that I would support. I would support the other, and I didn't.
Chair Torres,
Pachowski?
I'd just like to point one thing out in respect to Trustee Chancellor's comment. Question 4 for each of these candidates says, upload an image of a signature of your clerk or secretary of your local governing board. This serves as confirmation of your board's support of the candidate. So it sounds as though each of these boards were supporting their candidacy prior to them even submitting their application. And so I don't recall us ever being asked if we had somebody that we wanted to submit. And that's an issue in my book, because like Trustee Chancellor mentioned, we should, I'd like to see one of the 5 of us representing this district on that board as well.
Trustee Chancellor?
Maybe this will help clarify it. What I remember is Bernardo, part of his application process was he had to first, we had an item on the agenda that we had to approve saying, yeah, we support him. All of us. And once he did that, he was able to certify his application that he had the support of his own board. So I think that's what it's saying is these individuals received the support.
But if we weren't even notified by CCCT that the nominations were open, how can we ever get to that point?
Right.
That's kind of what I'm saying. But like I said, I agree with you. I'm having some representation. Absolutely.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve all 9 candidates made by Trustee Chancellor, seconded by Trustee Mantu. Student Trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Hey,
Motion passes. Thank you. With this, we move now to 12.2.
Chair Torres,
Trustee Lichto?
I move that we approve 12.2 as submitted.
second.
So motion to approve 12.2 made by Trustee Lichto to approve the teacher leave reimbursement for Trustee Josh Chancellor. Made by Trustee Lichto, seconded by Trustee Pachowski. Student Trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
I know Trustee Chancellor is going to be abstaining. Rest of the board, all in agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 12.3. Consideration of support for Assembly Bill 1546. I don't know if there's the presentation.
Move to approve as submitted. This was discussed at our last committee meeting.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Trustee Mantu?
Trustee Torres, I, first of all, have no problem with this proposed legislation. I think it's a very important issue, and it's a very important area, that affects our society on a daily basis. But I don't know that this is our work. And it could present a slippery slope if we get into the practice of considering other areas that are very tenuously, if at all, connected to the mission and the business of this board and this district. And so for only that reason, I will dissent in my vote.
Chair Torres?
Trustee Pachowski and then Trustee Chancellor?
I'm going to be a little bit more open-minded on this. I'd like to hear the logic behind presenting this to the board. Simply because, like I said, I totally see Trustee Mantu's point, and I agree, it's an important issue. Looking at the bill, I'd be in favor of the bill passing. I just kind of want to know the logic behind bringing it before the board, because that does open up potentially a Pandora's box in the future towards other bills non-related to education.
Trustee Chancellor?
Thanks. I thought we would have, and I will side issue here. I think we need as a board to button up the introduction to items, especially action items. You know, before we make motions and get into it, I think we need a more formalized procedure on staff introducing items, because what we have now is we didn't have an introduction and we already have into trustees stating there's nothing wrong with that. I don't dispute that we don't have a right to take a position on it, but without a formal introduction, like what are you saying no to? The information provided to us, but I do have an introduction, and I'm bringing this item forward because it directly connects to the safety of our students. We are a commuter district. Thousands of our students, faculty, and staff rely on driving to get to campus every day. That means highway safety, roadway safety isn't an abstract issue for us. It's part of whether our students can safely access their education. Every year, impaired driving leads to preventable injuries and deaths on our roads, including here in our own communities and at our 3 colleges. And those tragedies impact students, employees, and families connected to our colleges. This bill is narrowly focused on repeat offenders and accountability. Supporting it is about doing our part as a board to promote safer conditions for the people we serve. At its core, this is about preventing avoidable harm and making sure our students can get to campus and back home safely. So that's why this item came to me, and that's why I wanted to bring it forward. It will impact our students and drunk driving and repeat offenders impact our students, our staff, and anyone else that visits our campuses. So I understand the slippery slope notion, but that's where I stand, and that's why I brought it forward.
Chair Torres,
Trustee Pachowski?
I appreciate Trustee Chancellor's explanation. I kind of wish that the draft letter of support that we've been presented with said something about the fact that our students are commuters, but it doesn't. So I'd like to see something added to reflect that, if this passes.
Further discussion? Chancellor McLennan, any comments? I know that there's a letter drafted, so the district is supporting it.
You have the agenda item that I think lays out pretty well the background of the legislation, as well as want to make sure that the information on the status of the bill was made apparent to the board, as well as the public positions that have been taken on the bill as well. And so we wanted to include, this is just the publicly available information that was available to us on known opposition and support for the bill. You have that information there. The draft letter was drafted in response to the discussion that came out of the board subcommittee meeting. We can certainly alter it. It's really simply for reference should the agenda item pass, and we're happy to submit this letter on the board's behalf.
So there's no further discussion. We do have a motion on the table.
One more question, Chair.
Trustee Pachowski?
Do we know what the current status is? Where is it that the sausage factory that is set?
Question.
Where is it? Where is it? Is it presented to a particular vehicle?
It's on the second page of the board item under status of the bill, and it says at the time of this writing, the bill remains under consideration. The Assembly Committee on Appropriations is not yet advanced to the Assembly floor.
Further discussion? Student trustee, how do you vote?
This is on 12.2 or
12.3. Consideration of support for the Assembly Bill 1546, and it's a letter, letter of support.
aye.
Student trustees in favor, say aye.
Aye. You said student trustee in favor?
I said student trustee, and then I said trustees. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So Motion passes. Twelve point four. So we have the action to approve resolution 2026-06, recognizing the month of April as Ventura County Community College Month.
All right, I was waiting for a buildup to it, but I've already read the item, so I don't need a buildup. So if it's okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve 12.4 as submitted.
Okay, so, we have a motion made by trustee Lichto, seconded by trustee Mantu to approve item 12.4. Any discussion? Okay, student trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. 13.1. We have the action to approve renewal of resolution 2023-07 and approve the military equipment policy of the Ventura County Community College District Police Department.
Chair Torres,
Trustee
in
Lichto.
reviewing this item, I believe this is an item approved annually. And therefore, with that in mind, I move that we approve the 13.1 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion to approve 13.1 made by trustee Lichto, seconded by trustee Pachowski. Discussion? Okay, student trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. 14.1,
Chair Torres,
trustee Mantu.
I would like to make a motion that we approve items 14.1, 14.2, and 14.3.
Second.
We have a motion to approve curriculums for Moore Park College 14.1, Oxnard College 14.2, Ventura College 14.3. Motion made by trustee Mantu, seconded by trustee Lichto. Discussion? Student trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes to approve 14.1 to 14.2 and 14.3. 14.4.
New CCAP agreement with Moore Park High School?
Yeah,
Moore Park
you-
Unified? I was going to defer to Mr. Pachowski since it's his area.
Why, thank you, Mr. Trustee Lichto.
You're very welcome.
I'm very happy to see a CCAP agreement with Moore Park High School. I know that they, for whatever reason, we haven't had one with them before. And so, I'm very happy to see that the students of Moore Park High School will be able to take dual enrollment classes during the regular school day. With that, I'd like to move that we approve item 14.
Is there a second?
Second.
It was very close. The trustee Mantu.
It was
Okay.
definitely trustee Mantu.
I was gonna say, it sounded like trustee.
Okay, so we have 14.4, motion made by trustee Pachowski to approve it, seconded by trustee Mantu. Any discussion? Student trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. 15.1, Chancellor's report.
Thank you. So you have my written report and I think I'm happy to answer questions about those items or provide more information. I just wanted to add that I really appreciated at the beginning of this tonight's meeting all the sentiments that were expressed concerning staff, faculty who have passed, who were of incredible service to our college district and all the lives that have been touched along the way. And John, I really appreciated, your comments about, these are the people, the lives lived, and the impact is just so profound. And as we think about the work we do, we go through a lot of mechanics and we go through board meetings and we do the procedural things, and we all the governance and everything it takes to make this district work. But at the end of the day, at the bottom of all of it, or the top of all of it, are the lives that are impacted and the people who are doing such noble work to impact those lives. And so I do want to, it was just meaningful for me to hear that tonight. I appreciate that. I don't know these individuals who we're celebrating tonight, and who will adjourn the meeting in memory of. But I know that as I look around this room, that I can tell you everybody here is committed to the work that we're doing. And so I just really did appreciate that, and I appreciate that recognition. I also want to just add a couple other things that in the spirit of recognizing people, you've Dr. Sokanu has been named the Conejo Valley Chamber Man of the Year. I don't think that was in the report.
Awesome.
Very, very well deserved. And then, and I know she loves it when I do this, but Dr. Herrera, who I've already publicly announced, and everybody knows, she's the Ventura County Leadership Academy Educator of the Year, will be recognized this month. But you may have missed it, or you may have seen a piece in the Pacific Coast Business Times that the district and Cynthia have been named champion of education, and well-deserved recognition as well. So congratulations, Dr. Brown. And that concludes my report.
Chair Torres.
Trustee Lichtel.
I do have a few items that I wanted to bring out related to the Chancellor's report. First one was on page 9, was related to AI. And I appreciated the idea, and I'll quote, "It is critical that California Community College equip students, faculty, staff, and administrators with the knowledge and competencies to engage in these technologies," meaning AI technologies, ethically, effectively, and equitably. So I appreciate the Chancellor taking a stance on that, and our district potentially being a mover in moving AI forward in an ethical, effective, and equitable manner. This next item is for a future date, future discussion perhaps, but I would be interested in more information related to the credit for prior learning to accelerate degree completion item that was embedded within your report. By the way, I really appreciated the report, the work that you did, and I'm sure your staff did in compiling that. Very informative, gave me a real great synopsis of what's going on in the district through your eyes, so thank you for that. But I would be interested to know how the prior learning to accelerate degree completion may impact our individual programs within our district, and at the end, how that might impact our staff, right? So perhaps at some point we can engage in a discussion related to that. And then lastly, I want to commend you for taking a stance on Senate Bill 1262, which is a finance bill that was brought forward by Senator Archuleta, which I think could be very problematic for our system, and hoping that it gets defeated at whatever level it goes to next. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. And with regards to credit for prior learning, it's a big topic. You see it in the Chancellor's budget request, and especially where one of the interests that sort of created the momentum for this. It's always been a thing that colleges have struggled with, how to do that work meaningfully and legitimately and get the credit awarded for that. But especially for our military, our veterans and students who come to us with some really meaningful credentials that ought to be translatable into credit level work. The data's out there that it just makes such a high impact in terms of the resources it takes to get through a degree program, but also just the idea that it's wonderful stories of a veteran being granted credit, meaningful credit, and enrolling in an institution and bringing his whole family with him to take classes as well. So it not only has an impact on the veteran in this instance, but also as also the family as well. It's big work for us, and we'd be delighted to present information about the progress of the organization and the structure of that work. some future.
That's my ask, and I appreciate that.
Chair Torres. Trustee Pachowski.
I just wanted to mention the information on page 5, community project funding / congressionally directed spending. While I certainly appreciate the information that's here, I just wanted to call to the board's attention the fact that despite there being no education funding being made available through the House, I did speak while we were in DC. I did speak with representatives of the firm who were able to get congressionally directed spending through a House bill, through a science bill for the Yosemite Community College District. And I think this is why I think we need to consider potentially engaging a firm for lobbying. I did receive, and I sent it, haven't even looked at it, but I sent it over to Chair Torres. I did receive a proposal from that firm, unsolicited. I just sent it, and all of a sudden it showed up in my inbox the other day. I directed it straight to Chair Torres, but I'd like to see us consider something in the future so that we can get our hands on some money. I mean, anytime we can partner with somebody else to get some more money for our district, I think that's a win.
Chancellor.
I also have some comments in regards to the community projects item. Well, and I want to say first, thank you for the Chancellor. Thank you for the written report and the detail there. But I do have some concerns with the conclusion of community projects in that report. This report really frames community projects as largely unavailable to the district. That does not align with what we are hearing directly from our congressional delegation, who have repeatedly asked why we are not applying. And I want to give a little background here. We send a delegation of trustees and staff to DC, and we sit there and we in these offices, particularly Congresswoman Brownlee, we see a poster board of millions of dollars that have gone back to the community through community projects. And then we're backed up with hearing, why haven't you guys applied? Why don't you apply? We have money, we have resources to do this. While it is true, programmatic education funding is limited, districts across California, community college districts, are successfully securing community projects, funds for capital, workforce, and infrastructure projects, area where our district has clear needs. So I want to make a bridge here because the timing is ironic and perfect. The biggest challenge that was reported from staff tonight on the sustainability was a budget, was funding. And at the same time, we're saying, we're not going to apply for funding assistance for something that our members of Congress can help us with. So I have a really hard time with that. To me, the issue is not eligibility, it's preparedness. Right now, we do not appear to have a pipeline of projects, coordinated strategy, or clearly assigned responsibility for pursuing these opportunities. And because of that, we are missing the application windows altogether. I've asked for it numerous times, but what I propose this board directs staff to do is a list of 5 to 10 community project funding ready to go project that we can list. And then the cost, the estimates, the scope, community partners identified. Second thing would be a timeline, because apparently that window, in this case, I think it was open for 10 days and we missed it. Once again, another year passed and potentially services or millions of dollars that we could have received for things like sustainability or other things, we just, nope, didn't even apply. So we're not even in the running or the competition to do this. So this is a very frustrating event, and it feels like Groundhog Day because every year we go to DC, we're asking for support through the funding sources that the league and the VCCCD says, the green sheet that we should be fighting for, and these are important, but other districts are asking for more. They're asking for resources that directly impact their students and their community colleges, and I think we should do the same. And the report that we got from the chancellor tonight sort of gave some reasons on why we're not applying and why we're not going to take the next steps to apply. And I can't support that. So I'm looking for board support. to bring this item back as an agenda item and to really lay out some parameters. So next March or February, when that window opens, we're ready to go. And if we get the funding, great. But if we don't, at least we try. At least we try. Because the need's out there. Another example was food services. We heard that today, that the student services building at, I hope I'm saying that right, Moore Park College needs a lot of work, foundation included, and it's going to be really expensive. This could be a perfect opportunity, something that we could receive special funding in earmark or now community project from our members in Congress. So this one really hits home and is really frustrating me that we're leaving money off on the table. So.
Chair Torres.
Trustee Pachowski.
I just wanted to mention for a moment, during the break, I spoke with Vice Chancellor Mitchell, as well as Vice President Clark from Moore Park. I had suggested during our sustainability discussion that maybe we could partner with Cayugas. Well, I happened to reach out to one of the directors at Cayugas to ask if they have any kind of projects available that could help fund major water saving projects. And he said, absolutely, they do. So the good news is you know, just by having that conversation tonight, we may have a partnership available to help with some of the funding that Moore Park College needs. I just wanted to point that out for the rest of the board.
So I did hear Trustee Chancellor ask that he wanted to have on the agenda and asked if there was consensus among the board. Was this to have on the agenda to consider moving forward, being prepared with some projects? So whenever the timeline opens for that window in March or February, we apply to these community projects? Was that the ask?
Yeah, we have approximately 11 months to have some projects and the work that it takes to apply for these projects. And it's not going to happen by itself, but at this point, my takeaway is the chancellor and staff is going to need direction from the board to do this work. And I, for one, am prepared as one vote to direct the chancellor. And I think the first step is to identify those projects, discuss it with the board, and to make sure there's board consensus and support to engage in that work. And I know it will be work, but I think the benefit definitely outweighs that work.
Trustee Mantu?
Hearing Trustee Chancellor's comments and Trustee Pachowski, I'm also reminded that it's relatively easy for us to sit here on the dais and ask these folks to do more than they're already trying to do. And so with that in mind, I think this item needs to be framed in the context of perhaps using a consultant to help do the lifting and the influencing for us and use this lead time that we have coming up to the next cycle to get that done. And to give our staff a little bit of a break, from when they have so many other things on their plate.
Trustee Little?
Yeah, my comments are actually along the same line as what Trustee Matute just mentioned. We currently have two vice chancellors that are serving on a campus out of need, and that should be not only recognized, but we're very grateful that they're doing that. And as a board, I think it's really easy for us to fire off and say we want this done. But as a board, we should put money behind that. And quite frankly, if we're going to do this right, I think it does require a dedicated position. And so if as a board, this is the direction we want to go in, then I would recommend we go through the process to establish a position that would be in charge of grants and community outreach. These items that we're talking about and searching money. And quite frankly, that could grow into something even more. It could be support for other staff at the district or on the campuses. But I've been in a position at this level, and we keep adding things, and what ends up happening is something's got to give. And sometimes it's the most important things that get dismissed because of requests like this. So if this is important to us, and quite frankly, I'm supportive of what you said. If there's money out there that we could be tapping that could benefit our students, I'm all for it. But I don't think that as a board, adding that on as another responsibility, other duties as assigned, as I saw in one of the reports earlier today, is justifiable. So let's put our money where our mouth is, go through the process to establish a position for this purpose. That I would support.
Chancellor McClellan.
Thank you. First of all, duly chastised. I feel that a little bit in terms of the sort of the Groundhog Day characteristic of this keeps coming, and at least I'm not doing anything about it. But I do appreciate the last few comments, and that this is a very complex. I also want to say I stand by the report and its accuracy. It is accurate. I was in Julia Brownlee's office with the trustees in Washington, D.C., and Julia Brownlee said there are no congressional earmarks this year through my office. So the idea that we're leaving something on the table is really not correct. There may be other districts that have coordinated, collaborative, interagency projects that are being funded, and I think we gave some information about that. But to the point about support and staff time, what pork earmarks, whatever the legitimate whatever the term is that they like to use now. It's complicated, and it is a very heavy, labor-intensive lift. And as there's a couple different things we can do. One is to really study what it takes to do this kind of work and to do it meaningfully with sort of the risk reward. How much are we going to put into this from staff time and money for the potential of what we're going to get out of that? And how does that align with the other priorities that the district is trying to get through? What's on the plate right now? You mentioned staff time and those sort of things. And lastly, I'll just mention that I'm happy to work on this, but it is a resource issue. Frankly, it is a resource issue, and it's a will of Congress issue. We've been the signposting is not this year and not next year for these sort of funding sources. So I would recommend that you ask staff to study this. What would it take to do this work? Consultants are fine, but many of you have met Tom Downs, and Tom does really good work on this front. It's very focused towards federal grants. There's other, and it's not really congressional earmarks, but it's looking at grant sources of fundings and helping curate those projects through multiple agencies and particular regions where there's a focus on what those grants are trying to support. There's also congressional funding, and there's also other sources of funding that we might want to look at. We're always interested in developing additional resources, but to do this work, it's not as simple as saying, we have a project, let's go plug it into something over here, and we've done what we need to do. It's much more elaborate, and staff involved in that. Happy to work on it. I maybe would encourage the board to have a discussion with me about my board goals. If this is an area of emphasis for the board, I think that makes sense to emphasize that with some metrics, around that, and we'll certainly make it a priority. But it's going to be a trade-off, either with the staff and the capacity we have now, or by building additional resources to do that work meaningfully. I'm not opposed to it at all.
Chair Torres.
Trustee Pachowski.
I just wanted to clarify. Believe me, I understand that we've got staff that are wearing multiple hats right now. I mean, we saw that tonight with Dr. Herrera. I certainly wasn't intending to sound the way Trustee Mantooth made it seem. And to that end, that's why I think that, maybe I don't necessarily think we need to have a dedicated staff person in-house, but that's why I think maybe we'd be better served with somebody who has the expertise in this, such as a Tom Downs or a Townsend Public Affairs, or somebody else who goes out and lobbies on behalf of districts, because they know the lay of the land in Washington better than anybody currently on our staff could, and better than anybody we could hire could. Probably, more than likely, I'm guessing. And so that's why I think that consideration of going in that direction is so important, because ultimately they're either gonna deliver for us, or they're not gonna be here very long. And it's just one of those things. I think we do need to make it a board priority to decide how we want to move forward. Trustee Lichtel mentioned one possibility. Maybe it is. Maybe the will of the board is to have a dedicated staff member to work on that sort of thing. But like I say, there's more than one way to skin a cat in this particular situation. And I tend to be of the opinion that we're probably better off working with people who go out there and get this sort of thing done for districts like ours, as well as districts in the area, like the Port of Hueneme, which is employing Townsend. And so I just think we should explore that and potentially interview some firms to see if that's a direction you even want to go. But I think we need to make that a priority.
Yeah, I just want to add that, and I appreciate that, Trustee Pachowski. And a consultant would most likely be, or if we were going to go down this road in a meaningful way, would certainly be a start to help us with that. The challenge with that, as I've looked at this, is the capacity of the colleges and the people that are actually going to be, the consultant's not going to develop it, bring it, and implement it. There's a whole capacity at both the district and the colleges to be able to support projects, and initiatives, and especially the bigger they get and the more complex they are. I think there's something in the narrative that I provided you that looks at collaborative projects getting funded priority. So that means working with other community colleges or within our own district, other public agencies to do that. So there's certainly a consultant role, but the meaningful work's going to still have to come from the colleges and the district personnel. And I guess that's where I'm saying I think it would be worthy to have a staff assessment of what it would actually take to do this work, and have a discussion with the board, and we can make some decisions about priority after we have that information. Happy to do that.
Trustee Chancellor.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor this, but in preparation for tonight and some of the work through the years of going to DC, when I talk to folks about these community projects, the beauty of them is they're not the 200-page grants that often are extremely detailed. And we do have grant writers already employed in this district, mind you, but some of them can actually be pretty simple as long as you have shovel-ready projects or facility or equipment needs. An example that was brought to my attention was Mount Sac Community College, and they had $534,000 because they have a fire services for wildland fire training equipment upgrade. That was it. They had some partnerships, National U.S. Forest Service and some other partners, ready to go project. They submitted it. The window was short and they got it. So I agree. I'm not trying to add on extra work. But if there's a duplication of the work, or there's an alignment there and there's an opportunity, but I think the first step is bringing this back to the board and shedding some light on it. We have 10 or 11 months, and maybe the outcome is we're not ready. We can't do it, but maybe or maybe it's, we won't do it. I don't know, but I think this board needs to be informed so we don't get back to 1 year later and we go to DC and we don't have a piece of paper with, hey, we're also really fighting for our project. How's that coming along?
Chair Torres, so it seems like
Trustee
the
Lichtel.
chancellor put forward the idea that staff would review this, and maybe we give the staff ample time, chancellor ample time to report back on what our next steps may be in this vein. I mean, we heard 3 amazing reports today from our foundations. So I know I'm not suggesting they do this work, but I know the talent exists in our district to do these kinds of things. But I don't like the idea of just it becoming another duty as assigned on a staff that is already working, perhaps at capacity. So if we're gonna do this, let's do it right. And it might be a consultant and it could be someone from the inside. My experience is somebody from the inside that knows the ins and outs of the district and who to go to get results from the school sites is typically more effective, but maybe a consultant will connect us to those projects.
And maybe it's both.
Money. Maybe it's both.
So what I'm hearing from the board, there seems to be consensus that there's an interest in this item, and listening to the chancellor, something to come back on an agenda to maybe just have more information on it. So it could be a study session within a board meeting. Doesn't have to be very long, but maybe discuss some of those areas that you mentioned, Chancellor McLennan. What does that entail? What exactly is a community-based project? What are some of the ones they typically fund maybe within our area? What would that look like for our district if we decided to make this a priority of ours to be ready for February and March? That's what I'm hearing from the board. Is that pretty accurate, at least first step, to be able to agendize it and be able to have a conversation about what that would look like and then decide if we want to continue to move forward with this? Okay, I'm hearing some, no, okay, okay. So we will add it to one of the areas also for future agenda item. So we now move to trustee report, 16.1, student trustee report.
I don't know why I'm smiling. I will keep mine, I'll keep mine brief and short, just the way I like it. I first want to say that I first want to say a lot of people don't recognize or appreciate the student government presidents, Moore Park, Ventura, and Oxnard. It's not all me. I really do appreciate Ariana, Kamea, and Ava for helping our campuses out. They do so much more work than people realize, and they don't get the recognition that they deserve. And although I'm leaving as student trustee, they are also leaving as presidents, and they made a big mark on the schools. And I just think they deserve to have the recognition that I deserve. Second, as Eva mentioned earlier, I did also go to the ASMC's meeting yesterday, which was nice. And then today I got my blood. I did blood donation. That's why I had this red mark. Some people said I did drugs. Crazy. Never. I would never. I don't know why I'm admitting that on camera. I don't do it. I swear to God. I didn't do it. No, I didn't even
say that with the necessary sarcasm involved. Like,
okay,
never.
I would never do that. I don't do that. I swear. Anyways, thankfully the director of student services at Moore Park College, Claire Shen, she was the one who told me about the blood donation drive, and I decided to do it. Never had my blood taken, and now next 2 days I'll know what my blood type is, which is kind of cool. So it was a win-win situation. Also, student elections are still going on for student trustee. They're doing a runoff. So for any of those who are still competing, best of luck. And if you do win, congrats. And I look forward to hearing from you. And then lastly, I do want to say that, of course, next month will be my last meeting here, which is kind of crazy to say that. Can't believe it's been almost a whole year. Actually, I found out a year ago that I won. So it's kind of bittersweet to know that I'm moving on. And no, but I found out in April because elections finish after spring break. Yeah, that's true. I do, yeah. So I have till next month. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just trying to
It'll be May already.
Don't worry, I got you. And so I'm trying to soak it all in and just trying to enjoy it. And yeah, I'm just appreciative of everything because this student trustee has honestly I've made many friends and it taught me so much, and it's just been a great experience, and I'll definitely remember it for the rest of my life. Thank you so much. That's the end of my report for April.
Thank you, student trustee Pachowski.
Yeah. So at the last meeting, I had mentioned that I was going to be at an event with Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, a couple days after the meeting, and I was able to go, and I was able to speak with the speaker. I lobbied him on HR 2543, which is the tax-free Pell bill. Speaker Johnson did personally indicate to me that he is, quote, a big supporter of community colleges. So I'll definitely be following up with him regarding, with his staff regarding that bill. Also on that bill, I am noticing that Congresswoman Brownlee, while she may have indicated to us that she was planning on co-sponsoring, I'm not seeing her as listed as a sponsor anymore. So if someone's seen that, please let me know, because Maybe I'm just missing it. I could be. If not, maybe we need to follow up with her. Just because, like I say, it's not showing up anywhere. I did have also had the opportunity, that same week to attend Dr. Sokanu's leadership class, at Moore Park College. He had the, Ventura County District Attorney Eric Nasarenko there. And, it was great to talk with the students in that class a little bit. Some of them had some really, really fantastic ideas, including one group actually was talking about sort of an intramural program. And having worked in intramurals when I was in college, I told them, reach out to me. I can help you guys with this. Haven't heard from them yet though. But I'm still, if they reach out, I'll be happy to help. I also got to attend the Mesa grand opening at Moore Park College. That was a fantastic event. Last week, I think it was last week, I don't know, I'm losing track of days. Yeah, it was last Tuesday. I was at the Moore Park State of the City, where Dr. Sokanu delivered an update on Moore Park College. That was a very well-attended event. This past Monday, I had a Zoom call with our consultants from ACCT in advance of our Saturday board development meeting. One piece of news that I was kind of surprised by this week was I did not know that there is an award. It's called the Julia Sokanu Poetry Awards at Connecticut State. Their community college is back there. I guess that's where he came from at one point. So that was kind of fun. Speaking of fun, one other thing, I got to have some fun. I was at the Women's Final Four the first weekend in April. It was a lot of work. I've got plenty of pictures, but I was there covering my Bruins, and if you see Mr. Sanchez tonight, you'll notice that he's wearing a UCLA Bruins jersey. That's because he's a Texas guy, and his Longhorns played my Bruins, and we had a little bet, and the loser had to wear the jersey from the winning team, and so that's why he's dressed like that tonight. So that'll conclude my report.
Thank you, Trustee Pachowski. Trustee Lichto.
Yes, hard act to follow there. You're a good sport, by the way, Joey. I have a question for our student trustee. I was under the impression the elections for that position were already completed.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to go to specifics because, I mean, some people were not eligible to run apparently, and so there was going to be a runoff for the last 2 or 3 candidates that ended up actually qualifying enough fully. So I think there is still a runoff, and there's like also someone we're still looking for an election for a Moore Park College president. So those 2 positions have not been filed yet, or not that I have been aware of who have won.
Okay, I'm not sure what to make of that, but maybe some information from the district related to what's going on with the student trustee elections would be helpful. Unless there's a report that could be provided now.
So good evening, trustees. To echo what the student trustee indicated, there was a student election. The student trustees, there was a couple that were determined that they weren't actually eligible to run. And so they had completed the student election, and that discovery was found mid-process or near the end of the process. And so to make sure it was a fair process for all the eligible candidates, they're doing a new election for those that were qualified and eligible. And so I believe there were 2 or 3 that were qualified and eligible to run. It's a condensed runoff, and I believe should be concluding next week.
I don't know, seems pretty confusing to me. I'm not sure I appreciate the explanation, but it's not the first time we've done an election, so I'm kind of wondering what the mishap might have been. And I don't need an answer today, but maybe a report in the
Sure, we
next
can get further detail
week or
on
so
that,
would be
but-
great. So we know exactly what happened, because this is the kind of item that may come up in the community. We want to be able to answer those. So thank you for that.
Sure thing.
I once again want to request that the district investigate better communication systems for our board meetings. This evening, I attempted to make chalk marks for every time that our meeting was interrupted because the microphone wasn't on or something malfunctioned. It has nothing to do with the people running the system. It's just not, I don't think it meets our needs. So I would like us to investigate a better system that's a little more seamless, that maybe includes WAV or MP3 recording while we're actually in the meeting. All these things are available to us, and I appreciate the effort that is made by staff in providing us with these, but I stopped at over 23 interruptions. So it does slow down our meetings. And then the last thing is I want to thank Moore Park College staff for hosting 8 of my students from Passageway Non-Public School on a school tour. The students were very happy to be there. They were very impressed with the campus. It was a gorgeous day, and the campus looks great. The campus is very well maintained, and that's really important to us. And again, a shout out to SEIU and their staff for that. But I did talk to students about food services at the college students, and there does seem to be a need for us to provide more than we are currently providing. And I know it's on the back burner, but maybe it's something that we need to. Again, it's just another ask, but I think it's an important topic for us to take. So thank you for that.
Trustee Mantu?
Trustee Pachowski mentioned our upcoming board development workshop for this Saturday. I just want to say I'm looking forward to that with eagerness and in hopes that we will come away with better understanding, more respect, and more cohesion as a board as a result of that exercise, and hopefully the candor that we will be able to bring to working better together.
Thank you, Trustee Mantu. Trustee Chancellor?
One of the things I'd like to make in my board report, and maybe it's more of a question for the chancellor, but when trustees in a meeting, throughout the meeting, bring up an issue, a concern, or question, I don't feel like we have a formalized process in addressing that. So I'll use Trustee Lichtel's 2-month request to look at the audiovisual equipment, which I agree with, right? Yeah, totally agree with that. But what happens to that request after a trustee makes it a meeting? Or if it's a request that I've been making for years, the equity piece that students in Oxnard get an Oxnard College counselor on their high school campus. But if you're in another city throughout the county or from our other Ventura Moore Park College, you don't get that. So I make the statement or I ask the question, and then what happens to it? Where does it go? And this comes up with other issues. Tonight we heard a concern about presidential searches. So when does that come back to us? Does it come back to us in a formal written report? Does it come back at the next meeting as, hey, these questions came up in our April meeting. Now it's May. Here's the answers, or here's how we're addressing these. And I understand some items are, I would like an agenda item or a report, and that takes a decision through our chair and the chancellor to decide on that. But some of these smaller issues are just questions that come up, they just land flat and they just kind of disappear. So I'm wondering if we can work on a system or a procedure in place to kind of address that. Because I hear you, you made it last month, and I was wondering at some point if it would come up this month at the meeting, and it didn't. So it's the second time you brought it up, and to me, that's unfair. So that's question number one. And a little bit related to that, I'm a parent, and the K-12 system that my students go to uses Parent Square. And I got an alert because I have a senior in high school, and I wanted to bring this up, and it's very relevant to this district. So it brought up two issues. One was with Ventura College, counseling services and not matriculation, I'll read it. And then the second one was Santa Barbara City College. So the first one said, did you miss Pirate Day? Register for My Academic Plan workshop. This workshop helps first-time college students explore education pathways and select courses for their first semester. Students can complete the MAP workshop online, then call the counseling office for an appointment with the VC counselor to review their education plan, which I have no doubt would work out well. Okay. At the same message, which every senior parent received and student received, Santa Barbara City College matriculation. SBCC academic counselors will be on campus at Ventura High School on May 21st at 10:30 to offer class planning workshops. SBCC bound seniors will also complete their education plan at this time. Sign up now. There's a difference. And if we're talking about enrollment and keeping students in our county, keeping students in the system, there's a disadvantage there. And if one system's going to go out with counselors, meet with students one-on-one, I think they have an advantage over that, and it's worrisome. So if we need to look at that, and again, this goes back to, I don't want to say I'm wasting everyone's time. I have a captive audience here, but I'm taking a couple minutes to do this. And what happens to that? What happens to these comments? We'll receive some feedback. We'll receive, actually, Trustee Chancellor, you're dead wrong. Counselors are going to the site. They're visiting with the students, and we have this taken care of. Or we have some work to do, and here's what we plan to do in the future. Or, thank you for the suggestion. No thanks. But something has to, we need to work on the procedures around this, because it seems very inefficient or just falls flat sometimes. So, on a much more positive note, I'll tell you, I saw one of the best things, art-wise or theatrical experiences in the Heights, directed by our own John I hope I'm saying his name right, Leprino. Took 6 high school students, my daughter one of them, to this performance and was blown away. It was truly a pretty magical, special experience to see this play and this musical. So my hat's off to that production team, and I look forward to this week going to some of the Ventura College events as well. And it was mentioned numerous times, but I want to say it again. I applaud the district and the chancellor for the coordination, the resources, and the support to Oxnard College through this time of uncertainty. It's maybe the best way to put it. So could have gone poorly, but it seems like it's going really, really well. And I realize the performance at the district office is also going really, really well. And you guys don't have somebody filling in your spots. So thank you all for meeting the needs. And Chancellor, thank you for the leadership and making sure that everything's all buttoned up there. So thank you for that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Chancellor. I'll be brief. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, everybody in the district office, at the colleges, the presidents, academic senates, classified senates, associated student government, everybody in the back. Thank you for everything you're doing. And we've always said that we're strong because we're that family and we're connected and because we love. So when we talk about social justice, we talk about equity, it's really work of love. And that's really what it means. And so on behalf of the board, I know we share this sentiment. Thank you for everything that you do. It was interesting to see the many hats you were wearing, from foundation to Oxnard College to business department, from the district, from the colleges. So thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for being so attentive in the audience when it's about close to 10 minutes till 11 and being here. So it was great being at Ventura College to be able to see the presidential searches and be in the forums and to connect with the staff that were there. It was my opportunity to see everyone there and get to see all the wonderful work they do. And with that, I am going to move on to any future agenda items from trustees. I know we have one from Trustee Chancellor regarding the community projects. Is there anything else from any other trustee? And that's on 17.1, request for future agenda items. Okay.
Committee on the 2000s. If that ad hoc committee isn't able to meet or isn't able to, I guess, start bringing some of those 2000 policies to the full board, I think we need to chip away at it. So I would recommend for a future item, if the committee doesn't, if they can meet before our May meeting and solidify some items, some policies, and bring it to our May meeting, great. Let's get that going. If they cannot, I would select some of the most urgent ones that need addressing, whether it's whatever it is, and bring that, and at least we can start with a first read.
I'm under the impression that we've gone through a dozen that we've updated. Is that about right? About a dozen that we've updated, gone through, cleared through. I don't know where they are in the process, but we have chipped away at it.
That's great. Maybe we can take a first read or something.
So
Along those lines, if on Saturday, if there's a priority that the board wants to present to that committee, I think that would be appropriate. We do have a priority that was created probably 15 months ago. I don't know if that's been shared with the entire board. I think it might have been. And we've kind of been going through that, but if not, then we could share that with the rest of the board. And if there's some that need to come to the top of the list, I don't think that's an issue. I think that would be just fine.
Councilor McClellan.
Yeah, I just want to so to your number and those, I'm thinking back to last year now. The ones that went through that committee, I believe they did come to the board. Yeah. Yeah, we brought, as that subcommittee ticked those off.
Your word for it.
Well, we'll double check, but I don't want to leave that hanging that we've got
Yeah, yeah.
13 ready to come to the board because
Okay.
I think we've been bringing them as they've come. We just haven't had any come for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Chair Torres,
Trustee Pachowski.
I want to kind of concur with the chancellor on that because, we did have some come to us last year. I don't remember how many, but I don't think we've had any come to us since at least August. Now, part of that most certainly is the fact that, that there were a couple months there where our chair was not around. She was ill. And that kind of, I think, ground the committee to a halt a little bit. But even after she's gotten back, we still haven't had any progress coming out of the ad hoc committee. So I think that's kind of reflective of what Trustee Chancellor was kind of saying too.
And in all transparency to the board, we've maybe met once or twice and we haven't been able to really solidify a schedule. We just started one where we're able to have secure dates monthly, just like the standing committees. So there is something also within our own ad hoc committee. It was looking towards schedules and a trustee perhaps wasn't able to make it. And so what we did now is to have like dates. So that way we can have another trustee if there's one needed because a trustee needs to, they're just not available. They're able to let the trustee know.
I was simply trying to point out what I believe to be the facts.
No, and in the in full transparency, I missed the meeting because I missed the meeting. I manage many calendars in my life, and that one didn't make it on the most important calendar in my life, which is my Google Calendar, and so I missed the meeting. And for that, I apologize, but I know some of the work continued. And but I've reviewed all those policies, and I'm ready to provide input on every single one of those.
So, okay, thank you. So, there's a lot of loved ones that we've lost and that were mentioned during the different reports. And when we talk about the Ventura County Community College District being a family, it's a time where we rejoice and we celebrate wonderful moments in people's lives. And it's also a moment where we also grieve because we left and because people that were so close to us and did so much within our district with our students. We also grieve and accompany their families during this time. And so we're going to be adjourning our meeting on their memories. And there is something that I'm going to be reading in honor of their memories. So as we close today's meeting, we pause to remember and honor members of our community whose impact will continue to be felt across our colleges. At Moore Park College, we remember Professor Ramford Hopkins, a dedicated history faculty member who served for nearly 3 decades and founded the college's annual Multicultural Day. His commitment to cultural awareness, rigorous teaching, and student growth leaves a lasting legacy on the campus community. We also remember Jerry Mansfield, retired English professor at Moore Park College, whose sharp intellect, quiet humor, and genuine care for students defined his time on campus. He was a cherished colleague who brought both excellence and humanity to his work. We further honor Gloria Miranda, EOPS counselor at Moore Park College, who devoted her career to supporting students, especially those navigating challenges she once faced herself. Her empathy, guidance, and unwavering belief in her students' potential changed countless lives. At Ventura College, we honor Carol Smith, a biology lab technician and faculty member whose 12 years of service were marked by deep mentorship, generosity, and care for students and colleagues alike. Her dedication to supporting others, both academically and personally, made a meaningful and lasting impact. We extend our deepest condolences to their families, friends, and all who were touched by their lives and service. We honor their memory with gratitude and will carry their legacy forward in the work we do each day. This meeting is adjourned.